Baka.
Hey guys, 2 o'clock, that means 2 hours to go in a trading session. What a day it's been. Up and down. We got to green on the S&P, and now back to the downside we go. Here's a look at how things stand at this point. 0.72 currently for the S&P 500, negative territory. A full percent for the Dow leading right now. The NASDAQ was nicely positive, but back in the red, 0.3 right now for the NASDAQ and tech stocks. Trying to hold things on the high side. We'll talk about a few of these coming up here as we get into the afternoon. Busy day for the TSX here in Toronto, but 0.4 to the downside. We were positive at one point as well here for the TSX. Big moves at the bottom end of the board here. Remember, this started the day, crude oil that is, above 6%. We got down to about 3, now back to 5. Same story for Bitcoin and Ethereum, holding on to gains currently as we head through to the end of the day for cryptocurrencies. Big bounce early on this morning for crypto. Crypto stocks as well benefiting from that big bounce. Here's a look at how things stand right now. 0.84 now for the S&P. EPAM, we mentioned that briefly if you joined us this morning. Almost cut in half there, 50% at one point off of a negative report for them. SEDG, Enphase as well, leading the way as far as gainers in the semiconductor group. Everything else, though, pretty negative as far as tech stocks are concerned. FTNT there having a nice day as well. Here's all the defense stocks, RTX, LMT, NOC, LHX as well. Huge days for all of them, 3 to 7% to the upside. Deere holding on there as well, 3.5% back in positive territory. Etsy off earnings last week, if you remember, a nice day, 4%. The travel names, though, getting hurt once again. Cruise lines, airlines, all to the downside on uncertainty. VTRS, negative news in the healthcare group, 24% move. There's the energy sector, the entire thing almost in positive territory. Oxy standing out. Wow, Oxy's up 11.4%. Energy stocks on the watch list this morning. Quick look at the NASDAQ here. Big day for Tesla, 6.8%. Lucid right below that. We're going to talk about that. In depth ahead of earnings. There's Booking.com, had a big move last week. Back to the downside, some Chinese names getting hurt here. It's all about the software group, though. So many names in positive territory. Even Zoom. Nice 4% day for Zoom. Welcome. Let's get into a few things that were moving around this morning. If you were wondering what to trade, you come and join us, guys, every single day at 8:30. We take you through the first hour in the pre-market and talk a little bit about what is to come at the open. Get you set and ready for the trading session. We're going to do that now. Talk a little bit about one that actually popped up in the pre-market on a news headlining line, not lining, but line, involving Amazon. T-Doc. Sean's got that for you right now.
Hey traders, thank you for watching the Trade of the Day again. And this one's going to be pretty simple. It's 1 in, it's 3 outs, and you got it right, Brendan. It's Teladoc. And as you can see, Teladoc today up 6%. A good little run here for them. There's no doubt about that. You've seen Teladoc get beat down, man. I mean, this was $180, $140, $100, $60. Made these bottoms right here at that $59.60. This is another one of those Kathy Wood names that came out. No earnings, no problem. Well, today you get a nice little bump up as they make a deal and announce, hey, they're making something with Amazon. You know, maybe you can get Teladoc services through Prime, so on and so forth, through Alexa. You know, Alexa, send me to Teladoc. It works now today. So that deal, bang, all the way to the upside. We've seen Affirm, we've seen BlackBerry, some beat up names come into deals with Amazon. So immediately I'm like, okay, there's only going to be one trade for me and it's going to be a long. So where do we find that long, right? Well, unfortunately it rips all the way to 81. And trust me, I'm not paying top dollar for Teladoc. It's been beat up. If the market's coming to the downside, I know they're going to sell some of these names. So we actually just put this back and it's like, hey, if we're up to $80 like we were and we're going to drop back down 6, 7, 8%, then I'll take the long. Why not? Let's see what this news is really worth. So we were working with this 72 to 73 area right in here. I wanted to go long 73 with a stop at 72. So about $1 or so worth of risk. And then the trade actually comes down to that level. So as we're saying, sitting here trading, and this is where it's very key. I'm a changed man, traders. Patience is what's important for me on this play. Comes all the way down, and look, there's 73, and look where we wind up getting long. 73.20 or 73.50, something like that. We take one fill, and look, it doesn't even, this is the lowest of the day. We have the lowest trade of the day right here, and we get it out immediately for 30 cents. We get out of a third, and we're like, okay, we'll take this. It's catching basically a falling sword here, falling knife all the way down. So we take 30 cents, and we're like, okay, that's good. Now if it comes back down, we can reload it in this area, because remember, our ultimate out's going to be 72, but then boom, it goes up to the upside, and it kind of just hangs around a little bit. We take another out at 74. So now we're out of 2/3 of the trade, but we're going to hold on to that 1/3. Why? Because maybe it does drift back up to this 80 level. Okay, so we're going to try that, right? Comes all the way to the upside. As you see, we let it break VWAP right here at 76.50. Remember, it's 76.50. We're long at 73.50. That's already 4 or 5% in the money on this trade alone, but we only have a third left. So we got to be very specific on where we want to get out. Because it's Teladoc, and you could see the reaction to Teladoc's been pretty negative over the last couple of days. We're up huge from Friday, Thursday, Friday, big time movement to the upside. So Teladoc today hits the volume weighted average price, and honestly, I don't trade this name that much, so we're going to use technicals. We're going to use what's been working for us. Comes out, we take the $3, we ring the register. It does continue to go to the upside though, and touches out at about 78. So that very bottom of the day, we could have had it out at 78. Unfortunately, it takes VWAP. The only thing that I could have done differently, instead of using volume weighted average price, was maybe to use this 50 period, and that way I would have got out at 77.50. But again, when you're taking a trade and you're not super familiar with the name, and you see a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, remember, I was going to get out at 72. This is now $3 in the money. So, hey, it's a pretty good risk to reward ratio. We took it out, and I'm not hating on it, because right now we're still at the same level. So, hey, T-Doc on the Amazon news, you always have to pay attention. And that's why watching us at 8:30 every single day, super important. Brendan brings the news. We're like, bang, let's watch it. We talked about it. We're able to give this fill to you. 73 on Teladoc is my trade of the day.
I want to discuss that a little bit further, even that T-Doc trade, because when it did come out, that headline came out, saw a monster move. It was $10+, I think, to the upside, but the liquidity was just not there. But the key there was that it did end up holding higher, and still is holding higher. So good luck on T-Doc that we found for you in the pre-market there. That's the watch list, guys. You can pick that up every single day. All you need is an email address. Otherwise, it's free before we come on every single day at 8:30. Market moving back to, well, recent lows anyways. 1.3% in negative territory, in fact, for the S&P right now. One thing we had on watch this morning, in fact, it was the top of the list, were energy stocks on that move in oil. We had oil up more than 6% at one point. If you remember, it came all the way back to about 3%. Now we're back above 5% to the upside. I pointed out Oxy on the heat map there as we started, was up 11%. This thing had no pullback, just straight to the upside so far today for Occidental on this move in oil. There was a headline, I think, that came across there that took this back down to about 41.5, but back to session highs, 52-week highs, in fact, for Oxy, guys.
Oxy's on an absolutely monster run today, right? It chewed through 40, spit that out, and now on the daily, like you're pretty much like those highs you're talking about here in the daily, you're right there right now. Like 43 and change. Like if you're watching Oxy and you're looking to take some profit, it's actually put in a bit of a double top here. I mean, I just took Moderna's a different story off of its high, but with this market starting to pull back a little bit here, I'm just looking at this lower consolidation, and there's a part of me that really wants to go into the short on the stock, but is considering how strong it is and other, I suppose, easier names pulling back. That's why I'm looking at Moderna. Might not be one to fight, but it's getting really tempting. You have a multi-day high and double top in that daily chart, and you put in a consolidation, another leg lower. The other thing is you have the falling market. I mean, the market's fallen off big time right now. So you know what? I got to get over to some of these names that were looking really strong. Moderna just rolled over. It's now like I took this one just before we came back on. I put in the chat. I go double top Moderna 155. A couple minutes later, it's at VWAP in 152. So this is escalating rather quickly. So I was about to get out at VWAP, but the way this market's coming down, I'm holding this trade through VWAP. Maybe we can get 150s on Moderna. The market sliding quickly here, Sean.
Yeah, Brendan, we're going to slap a big fail on this market. What's up, guys? Microsoft, let's go. Let's ring the register. We're not yet, but it's so far so good here as money not leaving the wheelbarrow, going in the wheelbarrow right now. Microsoft, the $2.50 winner right here, just as we came on the show. Short, short, short. Out, 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 out. We were just shorting Microsoft off this 297 level. It's come all the way down to, wow, $2.50. Sorry about these wicks. This would look a hell of a lot better if we didn't have these wicks on here. But a nice little win here. Maybe I can zoom in and you can see even how much better it is. There's 296, here's 293. It's $3 now in the money, or close enough to it. $2.50 in the money here on Mr. Softy. Microsoft to the downside. And yeah, right now we are breaking down a little bit as we see the note about oil fading. Yeah, oil right now, did we just go over did you just tell them how much it was right now? Crude oil, as I can see, actually it's not too bad. It's still holding up pretty good here, up 5%. Let me just zoom this back out. This is crude oil today. We touch as high as 96.80. We are getting ready to close. Remember, crude oil will close at 2:30. So it's just settling down here. It's actually pretty stable today. I think this morning, we did have some nice runs, 95.80, but we're still right here, 96 and change. So crude oil still sticking pretty high here. The only name that we didn't look at in the morning show, and it's my bad. We went perfect in the morning. We were 5 for 5 on our 5 trades that we made for you in the morning. So we're pretty happy with that. But we didn't look at British Petroleum, who canceled today the deal with the Russian state-operated Rosenfeld or something like that. Roosevelt, I believe it was. And you could see what a retracement back to 29.35 there. So a big move down for British Petroleum. I feel like this would have been a missed stock. Made a move all the way down here to 28 and then back to 29. So BP, Brendan, a name that needs to be watched. We're just at the 50 period with this thing. They went down to the 200 period on that news. That was probably a buying opportunity. So BP, as here goes the market, man, still to the downside. Our long on Lucid is fine. It's the short. We're long in the money $1.50 still on Lucid, guys. We're still in the money from this bottom. We should have got out all the way up here, but we were doing stuff and more to come on that. But Microsoft right now is tank city, Brendo, as the market giving everything back. I don't know if it's at its day's low, but we're pretty close right now with the NASDAQ.
Remains very headline sensitive, guys. More headlines coming across talking about the Russian Foreign Ministry saying any country that sends weapons to Ukraine and they end up using those weapons will take responsibility for anything that comes from those weapons. So that seemed to kick off that little round of selling in the market. Wanted to mention Shell as well, because you talked about BP, guys. Shell also did the same. So they had a stake in that Gazprom from Russia as well, so they've pulled out of their stake in that. But I mean, the better trade was obviously BP anyways. Let's talk about some of the EV stocks, because they were very noticeably in the pre-market showing a lot of strength, a lot of relative strength in Lucid, earnings to come after market. We can go to Tesla, still holding near day highs. I mean, a little bit of a pullback here on the market, but overall Tesla with a really nice day, but EV strength right across the board today.
Yeah, definitely. Lucid reports, we sort of glossed over Lordstown this morning. They also were not reporting name, but they did report this morning, not tonight, but they've already reported. And NIO also has their listing for, I think, Singapore, or sorry, Hong Kong, March 10th. It's not diluting shares, so I don't think it's necessarily going to move the stock. It might be, I'm not going to say it's my frustrating stock, because I can pick a loser for that a little bit later on. But certainly when I had NIO in the morning, could have given it more room. I decided to play the range, and then it broke out. And it's not about, like, it's fine taking the trade inside the range to get it, 21, 21 and a half into that 22. But when it takes out that high, and we talked about 22.10 there, you got to be able to jump back into it. Now you're kind of running the risk of it breaking back to the downside. So I don't know how much bullish, how bullish I want to be on it. It's not worth the short because I don't think it's close enough to that high. But some of these names have been crazy. Before I move to the next one, I do want to mention, because it is an EV-related name, this Mullen Automotive, which is going absolutely bonkers, done 400 million shares. I've shorted it several times. The last one was about to turn the day green, and then it did this nice little fun dirty move. When I had 82s to the short side, it went all the way down to 165. So it resisted the 10% move down and halting down, and then spiked back up, ran stops. Since then, it's now got a triple top at $1.85. If this thing breaks $1.85, I think it's pretty much headed to 2. But every time it gets close to a halt band, which is only 10%, so that's like 15 to 20 cents, It's just running into a ton of liquidity. So I think it's pretty unlikely to halt at this point, but if it takes out that high, $2 is the definite level. Either it's shorting in front of 185 or maybe 2. I think the long is pretty much, it's hard to chase along it here, up here. You've gone too far at this particular point. I think you can scalp it maybe, but digging into something you can hold, at this point I'm looking either this 185 can hold or it's a $2 entry price to the short.
Okay, so we don't need a rune for futures because we always talk about this crazy level, 14,000 on the NQs, right? And we're just bouncing off that one more time. So this is what I was able to clean up the wicks here on our Microsoft trades. And as you could see, we're pretty happy. I mean, this is why we're pretty happy with this trade as we took it against these levels. And again, you know, our out was going to be 50 cents and we're now $3 we were in the money at the bottom there. So, you know, well worth it. I'm debating just taking this out on a breakthrough 294. Going to give it a little more room, like 294.30 or something. Here it comes, darn it. Let's get some 294.31s or so out. We're going to give this one a little bit of room. Unfortunately, the market is obviously coming to the backside now. We'll watch to see if Microsoft fades out. But hey, how about this one? Mamma mia, Lucid today. Wow. My number one stock by net-wise is going to be Lucid, although it's T-Doc right now because we still are in a piece of this Lucid. And as you might have been able to see, Neil and I now in new spots. If you can't tell, that's good.
Or if you didn't tell, that's what I don't want to say anything.
You might have been able to tell with our background there.
Well, that
was the only thing I was thinking about. But we're in our new spots, so we got everything all organized. And with that being said, I did miss some outs here. Like, I don't even know what happened at $29 here on Lucid, but it hit 29 and absolutely tanked. To me, that was a clear out right here. As soon as you broke the 50 period, that's why we're holding this. So we held this all the way to the upside, and unfortunately just was not at my desk and should have been because there it is right there. 28.80 should have been the break, and that would have been almost $3 worth of a win. We're still on it, and I'm going to hold out for this bottom break, which I know it looks silly right now, but hey, we're in this trade. We're long. We're short Microsoft, long Lucid. We're just dancing right now around VWAP, but Brendan, if we take this out, 27.60, then we're going to be gone. Don't forget, it's Lucid earnings, guys.
Yeah.
So as it says on our board, it's EV's time to shine. Yeah, let's see what Lucid does today on the aftermarket. Remember, the Saudis, they're in this name. Will they sell? Will they not? Let's see what happens here on earnings. 27.65 or so is a clear out for me on Lucid right here. Unfortunately, giving up about $1, but what can we do? We can't peg everything to the perfect cent.
So just quickly before we finish the talk on EV, someone asked about Lorsan. I know I mentioned they reported earnings this morning. There's not much good to say except for the fact that it hasn't broken the low, and I'm talking about not today's low because it's well past that. But if you go to the January low of 215, it's managed so far to resist that. It has been selling all morning long. It has not had a bid. I can tell you that with certainty. As a matter of fact, oh my goodness, it actually just broke the low again. So yeah, I mean, what did I just say? $2.18, 215. That's about your target range, man. Like if it can hold a bid, it's got to be down there. I'm kicking myself for not just being south side on this name. I've been sitting here, going over that MULN because I'm enticed by the volume, right? Sometimes you get addicted to the amount of volume you see there. But Lordstown, if you were looking for something to short, this has just been gorgeous in terms of a trend all day long. Been selling off and hasn't really found a bottom just yet.
500 cars this year, so that's good, I guess. For Lordstown, they said, I think it was like 2,300 or 3,000 maybe manufactured totally. For Lordstown, so crazy number. Just watching some oil and Russian-related headlines here, guys. That was the other kind of headline that came across in the midday there, if you missed it. NASDAQ and NYSE halting Russian companies. The biggest one that does the most volume anyways on a daily basis is Yandex. So YNDX halted still on that note, so heads up on that. But let's talk about the banks, speaking of Russia. This move to exclude Russia from the SWIFT banking system has created some, I guess, headaches for some of the banks that do dealings, inter-country with the SWIFT system. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon just coming out saying that there are workarounds that shouldn't be much of an issue as far as getting them, in place, so it's not a big deal going forward. But still pretty weak here as far as the banking sector is concerned.
Yeah, I think the most exposure for the U.S. banks anyways that I think you guys care about is Citigroup. They're down 5% today and still sliding, just to give you an idea of how they've looked. And it's been pretty been a pretty volatile session. You pop to the daily on City, and it looks like we're about to truth. Well, I shouldn't say that because we're about $1.50 away from these last year's lows, and we're talking about this 57.5. So not looking terribly good for them. I think this is the kind of thing that overall we don't know how long this is going to last, and sort of overall how it's going to play out. But if you like the banks, this is probably a buying opportunity for some of them. I don't know City specifically, but the ones that are sort of being dragged down in the midst of all this is probably a good opportunity. If you're looking for exposure, yeah, you're getting some pretty solid prices, and you're definitely seeing that rollover. I was talking about support this morning on Morgan. That breaks, and you could actually see possibly the 80s. A similar thing there in City would be that 55 range. But they're still under pressure. Watch out for any of these sort of like Russian names. I know that ETF, I think, is still trading. But there's a lot of risk playing those. Like obviously, if you're holding for a long enough time frame, fair enough. But your day-to-day headline risk is intense. And the Yandex example of that halt, I mean, that says it all right there. Like just understand, you don't know when something like that can open back up when you expose yourself to that kind of a trade.
All right. Look, the banks were long, and I gave it to you. We gave it to you early. We're going to give a big shout out to the sticky note again here today, because if you looked at the sticky note, you can see right here, WFC should not be down here due to the Russian SWIFT, man. Get the 52 bid, look long, right? I mean, that's exactly what we did. And then right down here, it gave it to us. Merry Christmas, and to all a good night. Long. Excuse me. Then it moved all the way back to $53. So yeah, WFC could have been the trade of the day. I feel like this is, again, another strong name in the banking sector. It seems to move a little more aggressively to the long side than the other banks. So the only sad thing was that we didn't hold anything for this high. So again, 52.30 long, 52 long, and it's all in the sticky note. A bunch of wins here. And realized this is not wild. TDOC, realized TDOC is higher than this, but Affirm and WFC, both banging trades for me. I like the banks. Let's just go over here to JP Morgan quickly. So you see JP Morgan today down how much? 4% when WFC was only down 2.5%. Goldman Sachs probably down something similar to that 4%. Let's see, 3%. So looks like JP Morgan's going to be the worst. Neil mentioned Citi.
No, Citi's the worst.
Oh, Citi's the worst?
Citi has the most direct
5-4,
exposure.
yeah. And then what about Morgan, though? We didn't look at that.
They're weak, too.
Yeah, they're weak, too. They're down almost the worst. Oh, 4, yeah, okay. So basically we picked the right one, and that's why, guys, you always want to make sure that you're on the sticky note. We had WFC for the long, and really the only long that would have won there. So, so far so good here today on the banks. And yeah, as the Russian story goes, I mean, it's not even close to being over. So this is only the 5th day.
Yeah, it's
like it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So we're not too far into this invasion, and we just hope for the best. But honestly, bank stocks will be hot for a while.
That is the case, and we'll keep an eye on headlines, guys. As we said, nothing seemed to come from those talks that happened today between the two sides. So let's continue along here. I want to talk about this TDOC trade again. Sean mentioned at the top there, but let's revisit, guys, in the sense that, as I was saying, when the headline first came across this morning, there was so little liquidity available that this thing immediately went up. It was actually $12. I said $10. Ends up being about $12. Goes all the way to 82. But the key was it came back and held higher and found support and found buyers on the way back in, which was a big clue.
Look, I mean, when you brought that news to us, obviously TDOC's not on the radar. I mean, it'll be on the radar for earnings or things like that, but without this Amazon news, we would have never looked at it. And again, I think that's why you want to make sure that you watch us, watch our watch list, make sure you check us out on social media. And 8:30, we're live on the air, and this news hits at about 9 o'clock, almost instantly there, a deal with Amazon, right? And so we talked about this, about how bad TDOC's been. You could see, I didn't even realize it was 300 when I was doing the trade of the day. I was like, it's been 180. It's been 140, but yeah, TDOC up to $300. Wow. First of all, Microsoft right now, the market's moving lower and lower. Microsoft's exploding into a $3 winner now for me. So we're pretty happy with that, and we do have our lucid out. But here you go. If we zoom in just a little bit more on the daily chart, here's what it looks like. It does touch that 50 period. That's a sign of death for me because it didn't need to be up there on this Amazon news. So of course it gets faded in. And the market did rally off the open a little bit. We saw this rally happen at about 10 o'clock. So TDOC got lifted with everybody, but as you can see, it only makes it back as far as 78. We waited for 73, and I think that's what you got to do. You got to find some key levels, and quite frankly, we were just lucky. Down here, Oh, it was the 20 period. That's what we were looking at. The 20 period kind of gave us that, and if we zoom it back out, and again, it's just kind of random. We wanted to play in this range between, and if you log back, you can see the trade of the day at 2 p.m. when we talked about this, but it was basically back in here. I wanted to see what we did in this dollar range between 72 and 73. I figured if 72 dropped, then we did have a big move to the downside because 72 was kind of the high back there on Friday. So we did have some love back here. We played 73 long and just quite frankly, got lucky that it held. Not lucky, we have the bottom of the day. So hey, is it luck or whatever? But there it is right there. And there's the out when we let it go up. We let this go up to 77. But then when it came back in and broke back down through, we got out at 76. Looks like 76.10 or so was our fill. So it breaks VWAP up to the outside before ripping up about another $2. Now we're all the way down. I'm not going to reload it at this level, but if you were interested, $73 is coming in right now. So I'd watch out for TDOC. To me, the trend has completely changed. We're to the downside here, so I'm not looking for any longs. But look what's happening with Softy. We are getting accelerated. We fixed our chart. We're short up here, starting to make new moves to the downside. And remember, this was this morning. So we had some issues with Microsoft down at 290. Let's see if it takes that out. The NASDAQ has a long way to fall if it actually wants to. So we're just bouncing. Look at this, guys, one more time off 14,000. If we take 14,000 to the downside, this is like a $4 or $5 winner. So we're going to hold on to Softy right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get out of any shorts. Like whether it's, I mean, Oxy is a bit of a different story, but Moderna also falling. That Mullen that everyone's watching, I said watch out in the chat for $2. It just got to 195, and you know, this was on our watch list this morning. Like I know, what all jokes aside, we're like, oh yeah, I'm calling it Mulan because it's MULN, and I'd never really heard of them, but it was on the watch list as something that had a chance to maybe run here. It doesn't get to 2, but it's going to hit 500 million shares, you know, before we even get to power hour here. I'm not saying it's, you know, that's crazy. It's a $1.80 stock, obviously, but still relatively impressive. It's how much volume it's churning through. You can see it's still doing as much volume as it was at the open, even at these highs. That's what's so impressive about this move. However, it is showing some signs of cracking. Like it's had a couple of capitulation candles, but every time it's about to go into that approach 10% and maybe go into a halt, volume just comes right back in. The buyers just wicked it back up to 185 just now. I'm looking for $2 to put the next turn on. As I did mention, I didn't show you guys getting in. I said I was, you know, going to try to get into Oxy off of that high. It took out 43, but I don't really care about the even dollar. It's the high in the daily that I'm looking at, right? This is about 43.15. That was the high in the daily. You just barely beat that. And when it failed at that price, I jumped into the consolidation short. I'm going to get on the bid about 42.5 and then work that one off to VWAP and then see if we can get this one coming back in here. Super strong stock, man, but you're seeing what's happening with the market coming back, oil coming back a little bit, the market coming back rather heavily. It would be one heck of a reversal. I guess like it was impressive, some of the reversals we had to the upside in late last week. This would be the complete opposite of that. To have the strength we had this morning and to take out 14,000, if that's indeed what does happen, is not a great way to start the week. And so a question in there was like, what is a capitulation candle? Essentially, I mean, I might be overstating it sometimes, but a capitulation candle just means one drastic down candle where it's more indicative of the bid dropping out than anything else. So you'll have something like this. Like this is a good capitulation candle here. It broke 185, and then the bottom just absolutely drops out. It drops almost 10% in a single 1 minute candle, which is much larger. It's done that a few times here, but at the top, it's had a couple now. One at 185, and then another one here about 190 or so. I still think it has a shot to get to $2 before fading, and that's what I'm waiting for.
Thing on that, 22 million share float. It's gone through its own float almost 21 times at this point. It's crazy. I threw those Russian stocks up on the board there. I saw a few people wondering about them. So, I mean, this is, you know, just from an unprecedented move type of nature, you know, a pretty big deal when it comes to some of these Russian stocks. And Yandex is on here. I mentioned Yandex. There's this QIWI as well, GDV, HHR. I mean, none of these really trade very much volume outside of YNDX, which didn't trade a lot of volume even today before they halted it. But I can't, sitting here right now, guys, think of the last time that, you know, you can remember something like this happening.
I mean, no, I can't either. I mean, it's been just one of those times here for the market. And the only thing that I could think of here will be this Russian ADR, and it's a bank. It's SBRC. .pk, and it's down 70% today, and it's doing tons of volume, 75 million, but it's blocked from our broker. So just like you said, Brendan, there's not much trading that we can do on many of these names. It's been a wild ride. You know, obviously it was $14 last week, came down to 10, came down to 9, came down to 4, back up to 4.5, and now today down to $1. As we saw the Russian ruble lose about 30% overnight with all these EU sanctions and whatnot coming through. So SBRC Y in PK there. Shout out to OTC Markets, doing a good job, obviously keeping the market open, but broker-specific names, not going to be able to trade them. I don't know if we're blocked on Yandex or anything else, but
that's halted.
Sorry, that one's one of the halted names. Yeah, so not halted on the pinks, but again blocked, but for a lot of trading, and that was YNDX. I believe I'm going to say New York. Let's have a quick look just to show you guys. Nope, I guess it's going to be NASDAQ. Hold on a second. Stick with me. I just want to show you what a halted stock looks like on our system. Here it is right here. So if you're calling up quotes and you're with Day Trade the World, grayed out for our platform means no more trading. And as you could see, or that it's at least halted. And then you could see today, we don't have any prints whatsoever. So halted all day. The last trade at this name was $19. It looks like we actually had some trading. Maybe this was early this morning, 6 o'clock. I'm not sure what those trades were, but you can see Yandex now halted down to 14 and change, and it's just been a nasty. I mean, and you know what the thing is, like, how bad do you feel for some of these legitimate companies that, you know, have obviously whatever, we're not going to talk politics here, but it sucks because this name was working, and we used to have our Russian broker came on and used to talk about some of these names, and they really liked Yandex, but you could see just a sad show for them and all these Russian names. And look, to be on the bright side of things, there's going to be buying opportunities in these names. It's just, let's let everything settle down. Keep YNDX on your radar for sure. They're a legitimate company and shouldn't be hit like this, but what can you do? It's blocked.
Yeah, and look, I'm going to say this with obvious caution because you're seeing multiple symbols that are halted. And like Brendan said, like it's not something we're used to seeing. But the VanEck ETF, Rush ETF, it's still trading. It's down 30% today. You can see this is a daily chart.
It's still trading.
Like obviously, look, it's a little volatile. That goes without saying. But there is a way to express some of these trades if you want to be looking at this. Now, I don't know specifically what different types of issues could come about that would maybe cause this to halt, but I've heard nothing about this discontinuing trading, and it's been open pretty much this entire time. So it's got a lot of volatility. There was an up halt on this, volatility halt this morning, and then it made a double top, and I'm kind of kicking myself. I've never put on halt trades on an ETF before, but if I had just essentially been looking to do the same thing I would as if it was some kind of parabolic mover, it would have worked gorgeously. Like it halted, opened, couldn't take out the high, and then has been a short the rest of the day. But you can look at it. That's RSX on the Amex there. I haven't rang the register on Oxy yet, but it's getting pretty close to first target. It gets down to 42.5. I'll quickly take. It's almost half a bucket that I'm looking for in the first leg, and then VWAP is down here at 42. On the flip side, I'm looking to hold Moderna through VWAP. I think you can get to 150 the way this market looks like it's heading down, but everything looking like they're falling off quite a bit here in the afternoon.
Yeah, the market itself right back to lows as we speak here. Let's go on to frustrating stocks of the day. It was a very, very choppy open on a lot of individual names. Back and forth action, very easy. You know, if you picked a direction, maybe going into the open to get chopped up in that mess. So here we go. Let's go, guys. Frustrating stocks for today.
For me, thank you, Brendan. We'll do this because Brendan, there it is. Okay, mine's going to be quite simple. It's in the EV space, and it's the biggest dog of them all, and it's going to be Tesla. Why? Because if we rewind the show to about 8:50, when we were talking about EV names, almost the exact same setup that we're doing now, we looked at this 800 level, and if you look at the chart, you can go back to when we dipped down. I mean, from 930, it just kept going in a straight line. Where did it stop? It stopped at 800 before retracing to 840. Then it comes back down and down, dances around 800 again before finally breaking it and then sending the stock all the way to 700. Then we come back upside, halt again, not halt, but stop at the end of the day there on the 24th at what price? $800 right there. We open up north of 800 and we shoot to 830. We dance around those levels again. And then this morning we come in and it's at 800. And I said right on the show that if you took the long, and I was like, just take this long, 805, anything. Look, it doesn't dip down to 800, so you don't get the 800 bid. But if you just took anything, even breaking VWAP, like 807, 810, take these pre-market highs. Look at where Tesla wound up going. Almost in a straight line. Sure, there's a little bit of problem there. Almost in a straight line up to 875. So like all you had to do, and I said on the pre-market show, was give this thing to this bottom on Friday now to 795. So I think you had about $10 worth of risk in this name. And trust me, if you're trading Tesla, you're probably able to hold $10 against you. So that would have been something there. And then you had essentially $70 to the upside. I would have been out. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think I had this whole trade. But again, if you're risk to reward kind of guy, you had 6 to 7 to 1 on this trade. And if you didn't get out until we broke the 50 period, you're not out till about like 870 up here, other than maybe a little something in here might have happened. But Tesla, definitely my missed opportunity of the day. And it's just frustrating because we talked about it. But congratulations to anybody that had Tesla long. It's a beauty.
Yeah, my frustrating one is going to be Square for two reasons. One, when we originally had the top on the 15-minute and we're looking at that 122, a short in front of it, so followed plan number one. I didn't reverse, and it was breaking out into a new range. And this is one thing I've been talking about a bit. Like when you have shorts off these multi-day, and this is a multi-week level, and when they break and there's so much room, like this is your 122 and the top to 130. That's the target of what you're trying to get. I did not take the long when I originally got out of it. For some reason, I actually wait for an even dollar break at 124, which violates my rules. That's not the entry. The entry is when it breaks the range. So I then stop out of it. I then actually wait for it to come back to 122. So great. Now I've gone back to the drawing board, calm down, wait till 10 o'clock, get into the price you want, and I'm working the trade to the upside. I take some out in front of the high of the day. When it confirms the breakout and gets halfway to my target, instead of saying to yourself, okay, hold on, it's 130 you want, it's 130 you want. You showed it on the 15-minute chart. I put a trailing stop in halfway, and the second I get trailed out, that was the consolidation that takes you all the way to 130. So, obviously that's a situation where once you've got it, you've got to hold on to it. But I'm just as disappointed in the fact that when it was a reversal, I didn't take it, then got angry with myself, ended up getting along at a price I did not want, which stopped me out. And then I had to get back in a little bit later. So it was taking an unnecessary hit. And then also on top of that, not holding the trade as long as we needed to there. Because when you get these multi-day setups, you'll wait. If you look at the 15-minute, like you will wait a long time for a level like this. Like, look how many times it's tried to get past that 120 to 122 channel. And then when it finally goes, that's the kind of day that you get. And you only get that the once, right? Like, once it happens, okay, that's that move. And you got to make sure you're capturing that. So, we've been waiting around for Square to make a test at that level for so long. You want to capitalize a little bit better. Like, I know I'm complaining on a stock that I'm going to have been positive on, but this is one that definitely got away because we weren't patient. We didn't follow our rules, and then we also didn't hold on long enough, and it definitely gave the entirety of that move. Block, of course, also reported last week, and I still think it's expensive, but you can see the move. The market is loving it. It's up like 60%. Well, it was up about 60% at the highs from those lows that we saw last week.
A bid coming in on a few of those. Just checking on AERI. I'll give you mine as well. AERI, though, just popped up there on volume, guys, at day high, so a little bit of a volume spike on that. I wanted to talk about where is it? There it is. INDO. That was my huge frustration from this morning. Broke down nicely in the pre-market. This is one of those little tiny energy-related stocks, so it will trade somewhat with oil, but you can see oil back to highs, this thing just fading all day long. So it broke down even before the open came, which was enough to get me involved. It had this crazy spike on volume 30 minutes into the day, gets probably everyone stopped out above 14 and a half. But if you had any kind of patience, it ends up giving you a trade eventually. But you had to be so patient with that thing, back and forth, just crazy action on the level 2 as well. Really no liquidity to speak of So INDO, you had to be super patient with it, but does end up giving you a trade eventually. There were a few things to note here, guys, as we head towards the final hour of the day. Yeah, market trying to get back to day lows. Big level, though, for the overall market here, 4310 on the S&P and then 4300 below us. Going to be an important afternoon, though, or important last 90 minutes, I think, for the overall market heading into tomorrow.
Yeah, we almost got stopped out there, and we didn't, so thank God for that one. So we'll be like, that was close. And a good idea at the same time. Yeah, Microsoft almost breaks the 50 period. It's just tanking right now as the market. And look, you just talked about some key levels, Brendan. I mean, there's none clearer than me. Every day I talk about this 14,000, and it's kind of ironic that it's been hanging around every day, up and down. So we'll have to watch what happens right now. We're bouncing off 14,000 on the NASDAQ right here. If it's a failed break, downside, then Microsoft probably continues to go up. But we've been holding this one all the way down. We're short still $296, $3 in the money, and waiting for this lucid trade as well. But yeah, the market right now, very, very tipsy-turvy. I did want to bring a name to you, though, Brendan. DSS. Right now, I saw some people in the chat talking about it, and yeah, it's up 70% on the Amex DSS today. NYSE American starting to take off. Obviously, a lot of volume coming through here until we see what the news is. I don't know if anybody has it, but obviously the 20-minute, the stock is gone. We'll check out what it looks like on the daily here, and a big move up on the daily chart here, taking out the 50 period. It's been up here before, so 80 cents or so looks to be like a lock spot here. So we'll see what happens around 80. If it takes that out, then we can probably climb. But wow, a name that maybe I guess was an IPO. I don't think it was a SPAC down here at 50 cents. But again, don't know much about this name. No idea why it was at 10 and now we're at like 40 cents. But DSS right now moving, and just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention because if you are long this name, it has pulled back. And like, look, even the 80 level, pretty key. It's funny because my Lucid's kind of working to the upside here and Microsoft is working to the downside. So some pretty good trades happening. We're going to get out on a 294 break here of Microsoft. I'm just following this 50 period all the way down. So as this keeps coming down, so does the Microsoft trade, which right now is not unplugged. There it is. We'll unplug that, but right now Microsoft, my number one stock today is not this, but this is my number one trade, just off that VWAP to the downside. Let's go softy.
Yeah, just quickly coming back to that Mulan. I keep wanting to say Mulan. It's Mullen. Mullen Automotive. It looks like the volume is really starting to taper off here, and it just failed at 195 again. I kept waiting for $2 to get into it. It doesn't feel like it's going to get there. The momentum, for the first time, it's actually starting to really slow down as I'm watching the tape. If it makes one last push up, I'm likely to short that pop. I've been waiting for it ever since it took out that 185 to put another capitulation in, but MULN looking like it's starting to fade here. So someone saying in the chat that the volume is going to, I think they said CNN. I don't know. I'll have a look at that. But the DSS that Sean mentioned looks like that's the one I saw volume go to.
Yeah.
Chasing headlines in a very headline-sensitive market, never a good idea, especially when they're geopolitical and the overall market is under pressure. Guys, we're going to talk about defense stocks today and why it might not be the best idea to try and chase some gains that we've already seen in defense stocks. This was the headline this morning from CNN, or CNBC, I should say. But the Pentagon awarding $1.8 billion in brand new contracts to some of the big names in the group. Lockheed Martin, I should say, Northrop Grumman as well, benefiting from this. But this is a very headline-sensitive market. There we go. $1.8 billion in new contracts coming from the Pentagon. To some of the big names in this group. Obviously, as I said, a very headline-sensitive market we're in. Why should we not look to capitalize from some of these gains?
Well, the reason you shouldn't look to necessarily capitalize, unless it means by selling on your gains, if you've managed to catch any of this, is we've been building towards this potential event, right? Where it's like we've had the buildup of tensions, you've had sanctions to prevent any action from happening, you've had energy running higher, you've had some of these defense names running higher. Like look at Lockheed Martin, which quite frankly, for the better part of 2 years. Now, I know that, look, I understand you had the pandemic bottoms having it break, but if we look at how it rebounded after the pandemic lows, essentially it's been sitting in a 320 to 400-ish range for the better part of a year and a half to 2 years. and you were running upside, obviously being a bit of a defensive name, it was already making a move up, but you're running the upside, holding this consolidation, and all of a sudden you're exploding in a breakout, right? And this is a classic situation. You just get a contract, but these things tend to get sold off once people have sort of digested and calmed down after the news, and cooler heads will prevail. And you don't always want to be testing random highs. In this particular case, if you're buying Lockheed, you're getting it right in front of multi-year highs at the top end move of a recent breakout, right? And then on top of that, you're buying the most recent news, right? So people usually say buy the rumor and sell the news. Well, the rumor was that there could be an invasion. We've already gotten that, and then now you've got news of a new deal. Well, you'd be buying that, and you'd be taking it at the top in front of those highs, multi-year highs. So, that's just a reason not to be chasing this. Now, clearly, as the tensions are building up, when you put a position on here, well, you've got some cover, you've got some support, you've got your 200 period, your 50 period, you've got the consolidation level. That's before it breaks out. And that's why you look for things that are trading in a cluster to give you those opportunities. But at this point, you're just buying the top.
So a key, I have Northrop Grumman. It's the same thing. They're all really huge right now. This is about York space here, but I just want to bring this to attention. The very last note here, even with conservative backlog projections, we're well over 1 billion in backlog for satellites over the next few years. So it's kind of like regardless of what happens here, with Ukraine and Russia, it looks like these names, these aerospace defense names, and another name like Lockheed Martin continue to be put on watch. And I feel like it broke out, obviously, on these last couple days, but even before then, we've kind of broken out through 380, had some nice little dump outs, so I think 350 is a good spot. We'd always like to buy stock, never up here, always on a pullback. So for me, I think it's too late to buy them, just similar to what Neil was saying. But if we just get a little bit of a pullback back down to the 50-period moving average, I hate to say this, but China still has issues with maybe Taiwan, and we don't know what Russia's going to do. And I just feel like with some of the talk now, even Elon Musk with Starlink talked about throwing more satellites over Ukraine to help them out. So this is not going to stop. The talk is going to be here, and I believe that you can buy these defense names and just keep buying them on dips. Don't chase. If you like it today, put in 10, 20%. I feel like that's the environment that we're in right now, regardless of what you're trading. Don't go all in on headlines. Wait for things to settle down and make sure you get the right price.
It's very easy in a market where it seems like some days everything goes down to try and find what is moving higher. In a headline-sensitive market, very important to not chase gains and chase moves that have already happened. So patience is key, guys, in the defense sector. I want to talk about a couple of things coming up here tonight. First off, this was that DSS, guys, there was a letter to the shareholders that was out about 9:30, 9:50 this morning. So that seemed to kick off some of that buying on that DSS. Also, Zoom. There's another relatively big name that is reporting tonight, in fact. Zoom having quite the day, up 4.5%. There was some people I saw talking about the effect that a product like Zoom could have with this situation as well.
Before we go about there, I like that. We'll dab it up now because we are finally out of Mr. Softy. So there it is. We talked about trailing that 50-period moving average. Good thing we got out because it ripped up to 294.70 right there as the NASDAQ respects that level. Look, Zoom has been a great name to trade over the last little while. I cannot believe it's down to 130 right now, ZM. So I got to get off this, let this load up for a little bit. The minute chart looks pretty good though, 129, 129.50. We're going to see if they were able to move around some of their businesses. They have to get away from just residential, right? They have to step in. I know with here in Toronto, I think the Toronto School Board has a deal with Google and things like that to use the Google Meet. Like my kids are just always using Google Classroom. And I just feel like it doesn't really matter what you use. Skype, I think Microsoft's really screwed that one up. I don't even hear anybody talking about Skype. And I feel like they were one of the first names to go. But Zoom, continues to hit new lows. And today on earnings, man, I would not make a play on these earnings. Like, I remember when we talked about it up here, and I think we we're like, oh, Zoom's going to hit. And they did, and it actually went up, but it was in the 300s. Now they're priced as if they're going to miss. And I mean, it's just been straight down. I think there's been some profit taking over the last couple days here on Zoom. Up 4% today seems good enough for me. If I was long, I'd probably cash a little bit out. But, you know, I'm waiting to hear, were they able, they were always talking about cell phones as well, right? Possibly getting into somehow and I bet they've probably done it. I just don't know. You know, implemented into their software, into cell phones, just making it an easier, more consumer-friendly experience on the mobiles. And then also, we do have a big factor with corporations. They need to get that corporate money, man, because I'm using it for free. And I think the funny thing was, even Kathy Wood, I think there was a meme about it, when she was on CNBC, her Zoom trial ran out.
Yep.
On her. So she's like, this is like a top 5 holding in some of her innovation, and she's not even paying for the premium version. So I don't know if people are doing that or not. We'll wait to hear on the call. But Zoom, hey, if you want to take a risk, this is probably the name to do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You want to see them get that bigger clientele and be able to retain it. If we're going to say something positive, well, we said something. I think you said something's positive. But if there's something positive to add here, it's actually starting to get more reasonably priced. It's broken below 30 on a forward PE. And if it were to get back down to 100, like, you're definitely below that 30 mark and getting close to the 20s, where I think that's generally been the range that some of these names have been really bought back up here. And I'm talking those high flying names. And I get it, it's down so far, but you know, at some point, the actual business is not going anywhere. The concept is not going anywhere. So the question becomes, what is it worth, and can they start to perform? And if it gets cut down again, you know, you get to that $100 mark, and you're right around where I think it makes sense as a PE. Like, well, depending on the numbers, we'll have to see it in the next couple of days here. But I think it's really starting to get to that point on Zoom. Just to come back over to the market, well, not the market, but one of these movers again. That Mullen, which I thought, you know, was probably about to break down. It did put another move up. It just slowed down, a bit of a lower high. So this is what I was really looking for, to maybe retest toward that top. It did not get to the top. You have a bit of a head and shoulders. 185 was a previous level. It just gave 185 on a lower high. So I just jumped back into this. I've been waiting for that too. It goes to 95 and then checks up, and now you got the 185. I don't want to give it all the way to that high of the day, because I think that's just foolish. It goes 195, it's likely to go to $2. So I'm going to have a relatively tight stop up at 90 here, and then if it takes that out, I'm looking at that $2 range to try to re-enter the trade. Oxy had a chance to take some out for profit, and then, you know, it's starting to bounce back up. It's back to flat as the market's trying to rebound a little bit here. Remember, oil, bit of a different story from the NASDAQ, right? And Moderna, which is the other short I'm in, this is one I just want to hold on to. It's bounced off VWAP several times, but it hasn't been able to reclaim this 153.25. So I'm just going to trail it to this price. That'll lock in at least $1.50 plus slippage. And if it breaks down, I'll try to get 150s out and make 4 to 5. So if the market takes another leg down, I think we got Moderna pretty well. But if it breaks this 153.25, then I can just get back in off of that high of the day. So going to put a trailing stop in here, Moderna, now that the market is bouncing multiple times off 14,000 in the NASDAQ.
I see people saying that it's time that I go clean shave like you. No, but I am, and I was.
Would you ever, though? That's a real question.
No. Well, maybe, yeah. I was just messaging the barber because I gave Prad our barber, and he likes him, and I'm going to go back to him today. He doesn't. Prad went to a salon, you know how Prad is, to get blonde there.
Well,
but I'm going to message. I'll do it after the show. I'll message. Well, I got to go after the show. But okay, we reloaded another position here on Microsoft as I went short again, and this one's not going to be for a very long time. If we break through 230. I thought I put 230. So if we break through, $294.30. So if we break above right here, I just don't want to dance with it up here. It probably goes. And, you know, the NASDAQ right now is trying to break. I just figured, like, if the NASDAQ broke lower, that for me, the risk to reward right now of literally 40 cents worth of risk to take this for $1 was worth it. So we're going to give this one a little bit more. You know, I'm going to cancel this a little bit. I got to give it a little bit more room. Let's average in right now. One more average in on Microsoft and give it up to 294. Because see, the NASDAQ's not really moving too much here. This could be a mistake for me to average this in. But again, I just took another short rate there, giving me now an average price of 05 here for that. We're going to give it up to like 50 or 60 break. These wicks don't concern me. It's going to follow the futures here, so I just don't want to get offside on Microsoft. That's all. It's been a good stock for us, and I'm not want to give everything back by just simply miscalling this 14,000 down here. So if the futures hit this way, then we got a big winner. If it goes this way, then we can lick our wounds and take a little bit off here at 294.50 for again a 45-cent hit. So to me, well worth the risk. The target is like down here. Probably first step if we can get like a 50. This all might not matter in a little bit of time. But first stage here, we're gonna have to make that 50 cents on the first bit, and then we'll take it back down. So hopefully that can come through here. That is a reload on Mr. Softy right now, just to give you guys that update on a new fresh trade for Neil's fresh fade.
It's not a fade. It's
I know,
bold.
but Neil, fresh trade, fresh fade.
Okay, fair.
I know it's not a fade.
I got you, man.
I got you too. What's up to Brennan, the freshest man on the desk?
Thanks. I was just checking, guys, to see there wasn't much reaction on this, but General Motors, the latest one to come out and say they will discontinue or suspend exports to Russia. I also checked on Netflix. Netflix saying that they'll continue operations in Russia, but said that they will not host any of the state-sponsored channels that they're apparently by law forced to if they're going to operate in that country. So they may not be operating very much longer in Russia. But GM saying, guys, that no more GM cars for Russia for the time being.
So, I mean, look, you're just going to keep seeing it.
I mean, the Russian economy outside of oil, like energy, isn't that big. Like, I don't think GM, Ford need to worry about, I need to worry about Microsoft. Looks like we're going to get stopped out. But I don't think they need to worry about that kind of pushback.
Not really.
Look, when I was in Moscow, now I'm dating myself, this was 20 years, let's say 15 years ago, man, I ain't seen no Fords or GMs rolling around. You know what I saw? I saw those Benzes, man. I saw some legit rides. When I was in Europe, I was like, hell yeah. Or Moscow, I was like, hell yeah. These Russian oligarchs rolling around in Bentleys and just randomly, but I guess that's in every country.
Speaking of the oligarchs, it was kind of funny. I saw a thing on Twitter this weekend where somebody was doxing oligarchs for their yachts. They're like, this yacht is in this place, and then with a picture of it. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, they're selling these
I
guys
wouldn't be
out.
making that move, but I keep wanting to say Mulan. But Mullen, off that 185, it then had a monster size at 190. That's where my stop was going to be. So when I saw a couple 100,000 shares there, you can pretty much imagine that I just got on the offer at 89, shaving in front of it. And I'm going to be scalping it to 80s, and I'm going to be scalping it to 75, and then I'm going to be scalping it to 70s. So we're going to do this one. I shouldn't have hit this one yet. This was dumb of me to hit this, but I was all going to take some more profit out here. The reason is when I got that last stop out, I was about to go green if it took another leg down, and then I just went green on Mullen Automotive. Come on, you can say the company name, Neil. Mullen Automotive, and then I took it to short. Now we're going to get back green, and I still want to hold on to a portion of this trade for a break of like this 170 area, just thinking it can come back to 150. Like, that's just VWAP. It can still be incredibly bullish and still be trending to the upside while giving you like a 30, 40 cent pullback. I'm looking at 20 to 25%. Now, I'll probably only have about 10 to 20% of the trade left when it gets down to that price, but that's what I'm holding out for. You have a bit of a head and shoulders forming. And the other reason I rang the register was, Moderna, we did just get trailed out there. I mean, the market's heading back to 14.1. And I know we're talking about the NASDAQ, so who cares about that for Moderna? But the ES also bounced off well in front of 4,300, and that's trending back to the upside. So I didn't want to give this all back. I wanted to make sure we captured some profit. If it gets back up to 155, then I certainly want to be getting some more shares out there. Or so we're getting back into that 155 level. But there goes Mullen as we just got another target down there. There goes 170. So it's finally starting to come in. And this is sort of the thing. Like I've traded these before where they're not going parabolic. When it's getting linear, a lot of times I'll take the first short and then just get really stubborn about it and go over and over and over, just halt it to the downside. I'm short, so I'm not worried about it. But a couple of times where I just go linear and then you're shorting it, 10, 15, 20 times. I remember I had DWAC 27 times. I was short DWAC the day that it went to the upside, and then 3 longs on that day. In this particular case, it was more about waiting for those spots. So yeah, I have about 6 or 7 trades, but it's better than usually when I have 15 or 20. It's now halted to the downside, but keep in mind, when it's $1.70, that's like 17 cents it moves down in 5 minutes, and it's going to halt. I'll take some out on the reopen, but 150 is what I'm holding out for.
All right, so new position alerts, Facebook. We're already in the money here, 30 cents on Facebook as it's continuing to go to the upside right now. Target really up here, 209 and change. We'll see if we can get to that here on Facebook. First level out, maybe 208. For that trade, but we'll wait to see. Our out's going to be all the way back here. It's got to break this 50 period and then trade below 207.50. So it's about 50 cents worth of risk as an out. So we got to take 50 cents worth of a win. So we're going to put an order now for Microsoft. I was going to say Microsoft. We were just in Microsoft for Facebook here at, and I just missed it. Did it even go to 208? It almost did. So let's put an offer right now at 208.50 or so, and then take that out. If it comes back up to the upside, we'll take a piece out at 208.50 just to give us the 1-to-1, and then let the rest ride if we can to the high side right now, 209.35. Would love to get this out for $1.50. So let's see. Will the NASDAQ hold? It looks like Microsoft on those shorts, out. Good trade. We should have just gone long and respected that bottom of 14,000. But hey, man, right now this is a very, very choppy environment. We're still making money because we have this Lucid long that we've held on to this whole time, and it's coming back in. Remember, they have earnings, so my target up here for Lucid, not waiting for 29, 28.80, like 28.75. We're going to put an order there. It's not that far away. It's $2 in the money for Lucid. We're 40, we just were 40 cents again in the money on Facebook as that's starting to go to the upside. Come on, buddy. Let's go. Get us out at 208.50, and then we can let the rest ride. We are going to average in around VWAP, though, if we can, 207.80, but I'd rather just get out first on the high side here and then worry about the low side after. But Lucid right now continues to rock and roll. And just to give you guys a target, we're still long from down here. Not really reloaded there. We talked about being nervous about those levels, but this is not a horrible spot. If you're in Lucid, we've danced around here before. I just feel like the market wants to go up. And if it does, I'll be kicking myself for getting out here when we could have got out here. So I'm going to wait for 28.80. And remember, the downside on Lucid is still locked in. It's locked in at 27.60. So for me, we're going to give up here 50 cents if we get out on the downside in a chance to make 50 cents back upside. So let's hold on to Lucid, see if it continues to work here, which it's been doing all day. Now the 50 period's turning up, so we like this one, 28.80 target for LCID.
There you go. And Lucid, of course, are reporting aftermarket. And we've actually seen this where in this earnings run, a lot of the best afternoon trades and movers have been things that are going to be reporting that night. So you got to watch out for that. Like AMD's one that we traded this morning, and I talked about being a little bit frustrated with Square. AMD, when I eventually got back into the long, when we took the break out of the opening range top, I did capture close to the high, but that was only up at 125. Now it's looking a little bit weak. It just failed at view up there. And if we do break 14,000, like you could be retesting on AMD, like what was a pretty big resistance level, this 119 to 120 area. Like it had a lot of trouble sort of getting through that, and it just barely did the last couple of days. And looks like it could be retracing that at 14,000 goals. So watch out for AMD. Miss V, what's up?
Hey guys, how's it going? Just 1 hour left until the end of this trading day and this trading month. Tomorrow already is March, spring, and I remind you to smash the like button, guys. Please help us to get more likes. And back to you guys.
Alrighty, Barber has confirmed. So tomorrow, now we got the new cigar here. Oh, thank you so much, Romeo and Julieta from Maggie.
Maggie.
Yeah, so from Cuba. From Havana. I remember when I was in Havana, man, seeing these guys roll the cigars, amazing. And the thing is, you can get, she's not like me, she's legit. Like, I would have gotten these like from a dude hanging outside the Romeo and Julieta factory.
I would have got the Dominicans.
But the thing is, they shoot those guys for selling them illegally. So thank you to Maggie for these ones. We'll be having in just a little one. I said I prefer these than the Cannons because, you know, I don't have hours to sit around and smoke this in -20 weather.
We could outside, smoke them before.
Yes, we could do them before
Rodney's
tomorrow. Yeah, we can smoke these tomorrow.
Because I'm taking Prad to the Raptors game, but we're going to grab some oysters
Neil, don't
before we
drink
do
too much.
that.
Remember when we went out to the baseball game?
I don't understand why you got to trash
one
talk
beer
me, man.
deep
It's not
at
even
4:30. and cut off.
Okay, first of all, that's not true.
Brendan?
That is not true.
Maybe it was 5:30.
I just didn't want to drink at the game, that's all.
Brendan? There we go.
Come on, you guys are
Confirmed.
y'all are ridiculous.
Trust Brendan.
Just because I wasn't putting them back the way you were, Brendan, and yes, I'm signaling you out. By the way, I've never seen a person who enjoys beer so much that is so terrible at pouring a pitcher, Brendan. Like it was, you know what? I'm not even gonna make a joke because it would just be dirty about the amount of head that was in that pitcher.
This turned real fast.
I'm just telling you. Remember those pours?
So much anger.
I was there.
So much anger. No, it's fine.
Anyways, Brendan getting heated. But tomorrow's a new day.
Am I wrong?
Tomorrow's a new day.
Am I wrong?
So we will see tomorrow.
I'm not wrong.
You know your boy will be there.
I'm not wrong.
Okay, so all right, let's go, guys. All right.
Just like that.
Yeah,
eh?
it'll be fun. Well, follow me on Twitter. I'll be tweeting out some pictures. We'll have a good time there. Tomorrow with Trader Prod.
Mullen. It's Mullen. Mullins. Mullen.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this company's name right. It's Mullen Automotive. It opened
How
back
are
up
you
at
getting it
163
wrong? I mean-
because I start saying Mulan and then I have to stop
Mulan,
myself.
that was the
So
problem.
it opened at 163. I took a third out. It looks like it's trying to head back up here, but I think it's a fade back into VWAP at this point. So, you know, I'm not saying this is done, but you might have to check back into tomorrow, or at least if it can bounce off of VWAP. Even now, like the buying that's coming into it, it's a little bit weak. So I'm going to get my bids down in the 150s here so that we can take some profit. That's going to have worked out, but I can tell you Oxy's going the other way. Look, the energy names are super strong. It's not exactly exploding to the top, but when you get a top like this on the daily chart, oil closed falling off of the highs, like that's pretty darn bullish here for Oxy. You would think it would hit that level, and there would be some sellers when you get there on the daily. That has yet to materialize for me on Oxy. We completely glossed over 40. Well, we talked about it this morning, 40,000 in Bitcoin, but forgot to mention Coinbase, which is in the midst of a little bit of a break recently. It got past that 190 level. Looks like it's trying to consolidate up here. If we hold above 40,000, I'd like to think that this could be a run to 200 on Coinbase. Looks like we might have missed out on the move this morning. But as long as we hold above 40,000, I'm going to be looking for some longs on the way to 200 the next couple of days here. Although the volume's not very good right now. The morning was fantastic. And we were talking about crypto this morning at 40,000. I totally forgot to look at Coinbase and look at how clean that break was right at 9:30.
Yuck.
Clean. It was like a clean $15 move. Like,
Nah, Coinbase. I mean, Coinbase is great. I mean, if you're watching crypto and stuff, Coinbase follows it, and it's a good stock. It looks like we're wrong. The market is going to break down. We will take a hit here on Facebook. Looks like it's going to be 40 cents. We averaged it at 90 here. Oh man, here it comes to the downside. This is going to be out if we break through 207.50. I have to use a level because we are down now through this 50 period. I thought honestly the market had a chance from bouncing off this, but it doesn't look like it wants to do that. So let's give Facebook. I don't know. I can't give it. I don't want to give it that much more room, man. If it breaks 50, I'm going to get out. I could give it a little. Yeah, there we go. I was going to say I could give it a little bit more room. Oh, I'm still into something here. But yeah, no, there it goes down. So we'll get out. We'll get out of Facebook there for the loss. So we'll go downside there. As that sucks. Oh well. Not a big one, but you can see the futures are now falling back in. Our Microsoft short works so nice that we probably should have stayed over there and looked at it. But again, we didn't have that crystal ball to predict. Oops, just got into Microsoft by accident right now, so let's get out. There it is. Yeah, nice little win there. That's an accident. You can see that was my bid from this fill. So we just got filled on our bid on the low side there. But yeah, Microsoft coming in now. Let's see what happens at 14,000. Maybe I should have held those bids. I still think that the market breaks, and that's the NASDAQ. I still feel like the market breaks 14,000 now that we're under this. I don't know. It's only down 1%. I feel like there hasn't been much resolved today. And again, I haven't been really on the news, but from what I've been hearing, I don't really hear too much about Russia, Ukraine, and anything positive coming. Oil still up 5%, closing, but at 95.60. So this market may have some more moves left to the downside here. But let's try to find a trade that's going to work out for us. We'll check back in on Palantir. But if there's any names that you guys want us to watch, give us them, because SoFi was a good call at 50 this morning, 11.50. Hasn't done anything, but we were looking to short that up here during the day. It only goes to 11.75. There's that 11.50 on SoFi. I think this is a great level to short. We only danced up here once. Other than that, it spent the whole day under 11.50. So that's an area for me to look at here on SoFi.
Yeah, there was a question I saw someone throw in there asking, it's Juan AL asking about Marvell, and it might have been someone else as well. Marvell, they're reporting this week. I mean, I'm assuming you're asking because you know they report on the 3rd. But it's a name I like. I actually own shares of Marvell. Now, I think it made prudent sense to have trimmed some at the top when it retook 85. I like getting out on the way up of these things. But the key thing here is you've got a double bottom. You got the 200 period. There's not a lot of tech names, and that in general that have managed to hold the 200 period. Marvell has performed very well to have attempted to do so going into this earnings print. So this is a tough area for them, because if they miss and we don't have the explosive earnings that I would expect out of them, then you're very likely to retest below even like 60 on this name. It's going to be hard breaking through the 200. I mean, the trend has been pretty big to the downside, but so far I think the earnings have been fantastic throughout the chip space, and they're fantastic at executing and growing. So I like them above that 200 period. I would not be buying until after. I'd be perfectly fine saying, and this has been my theme for whether I own something or whether I'm looking to get into it in 2022 is, A, valuation matters, B, wait for earnings to come through. So I'm not even considering making a move on something until you get a fresh round of earnings in this environment. So I could care less if this is going to bounce off the 200 and you get a good number and then you're buying it in the low 70s. I'd much rather that than stick in now, and next thing you know, if they end up missing, you could be sitting at like $55 kicking yourself for having bought it. I'd rather buy on the momentum after you've reaffirmed some strength here. But it is a name that I do like, and it's done well to still be above that 200 period moving average, which a lot of tech names have really struggled with. Well, most of them.
There goes, oh man, like I just keep on putting out the wrong trades. Like I have these pending orders everywhere. Like there's Facebook off the long would have worked again. We just got in and out there. Okay, so we are averaging in here. This is just going to look silly. Like our trading right now is just trying to trade off this 14,000. One last shot, honestly, for Microsoft right now. Just trying to hold something for a longer move. Like, believe me, if it just battles back and forth here, we're not going to be able to make money. But I'm trying to put something on, see if we can get a movement here in the futures into the close. I still feel like we close lower than where we are right now. We're battling around this 14,000. I know 14,000 held, but I just think like off of such big days on Thursday and Friday, like up 7% on the NASDAQ, both those days, I just feel like it needs to pull back something. And if you look at a daily chart here, let's just go over here. It comes right back down. We just got a little bit out there for a win there on Microsoft. So, okay. But right now, if you see the Qs, let's go. Let's look at a 20 period here. Where's the 20-minute chart for the Qs? So I look at, generally speaking, 20 period, 1 minute, and then the daily. This is what I'm talking about. Big movement to the upside. And right now, there's these levels here, and it's just right where we're at, like 344, 345. And I know we got a little bit ways to go here on the Qs, but I just feel like there's some coverage back down in. Like the Qs maybe should be at like somewhere around here, 340, like 339. Like I don't know. This was such a monster move the last couple days back up here that the fade down doesn't surprise me if it comes in. So that's what I'm looking for on these trades. And again, we just took a one piece out, 25% out of Microsoft here on this trade, and we'll just continue to work it. Like, I'm not going to get out until we break 295. It's too jiggly here. Like, we waited for some outsized move to happen and then shorted, right? And the short was huge. So now, dancing with it in here just seems a little bit silly. So let's wait. We're going to average in one more time on the high side. My average price is 75 for Microsoft is where we're going to take this. And then we're going to get out if it breaks through 295. That's it, man. 295 is the level of concern for me. I'm not doing jack all until that comes through. The only thing we'll put out is a 293.50 bid, and we'll hope to take 60 cents on a piece if it does come back to the downside. But 295 is my out here on Microsoft. I'm not getting any out until then for a loser. So let's go Microsoft. Let's print a little bit on the downside.
I feel you, and I'm holding on to MULN because I still feel this is going to roll over. The halt down, it's not screaming to the upside. The volume really starting to taper off here, so I still think we're going to get some 150s, but I might retest getting some out here at about 165. It would be reckless not to take some 160s for 20 cents. 10% on one of these stocks is really good, so you got to make sure you're taking that profit when it's there. And I'm going to definitely take a little bit more, but this could still go all the way down. And remember we talked about AMD starting to roll over? Oh, goodness. Yeah, that 14,000 comes into play here. AMD is now retesting that 121. These are key levels. AMD gets to 120. I think you could gap fill. I understand every single day there's been pushes to the upside. late in the day. And we're not saying that trend is necessarily done. It's more just that it's rare to see that happen over and over again. Eventually that turns into a trap and you don't get that late day rally that everybody's expecting. So in the back of my mind, it's like, 2-3 times that happens to you, eventually the rug is going to actually get pulled. And this feels a little bit weaker. It feels different. I'm looking across at some of these names trying to extend, and I'm seeing some of the ones that were so strong this morning, and they're not catching bids. And when they start to go, you're seeing bigger down candles there and a lack of a bid on the way back in. So that's kind of why I'm leaning into shorting some of these. Although I can tell you, Oxy, as much as as much as Mullen's going to work out, Oxy's very close to taking out that top. So the oil names having no trouble continuing to those highs.
All right. Okay. What I want to talk about quickly was Microsoft just came down to 293.70. So yes, sir. I know it has nothing to do with Microsoft, but a good trade right now as we will go like this. Feel like it's been a little bit of a carnival here in the last little bit. Like you take your shot and hope that some money comes spitting out of the video game. And right now we still are positive on Microsoft and we plan to stay that way. But there it is, dipped down in right here. And we just took that cover off of some of these shorts. So this is the latest trade here. We went long and got out for like 20 cents. And then now shorting into here and just covered some at 70 flat there. And again, we get paid to make these trades. So we get paid to add liquidity. So like if I was paying $6 or $7 for every one of these trades, it would be a different story. But again, Neil and I not trained to trade with those parameters. So we trade with, being able to get in and out and plentiful of liquidity and getting paid or not on some of the gateways that we choose to use. It's called direct market access. So here at Day Trade the World, we definitely promote that. We couldn't trade this style without it. So if you are interested, hit up daytradetheworld.com and find out more info on that. Okay, let's look at quickly. I just want to check back on TDOC as it was our trade of the day. And as you can see, where's the falling asleep thing? This is falling snow. All right, that's not bad. It's not bad. Shout out to that. But hopefully the market and TDOC today turning green, man, up 5%. The market may not get there, but TDOC definitely did on a nice move to the upside. Amazon talk right there. Banged it up to 81, 82 bucks. But remember, this is still a failing company right now anyways. And I think people get scared because of what Affirm and Amazon were able to come up with. Rallied Affirm to like 180 bucks. And now Affirm is $38. Let's just check back. I just wanted to show you guys that TDOC is looking to break lower. I think it probably does. It's just, I don't want to trade it. If you are looking short on this is looking real nice, man. 74.30, like this break, I don't know. It could be pretty nasty. The low is what I have on the day is 73.50.
That's $1.
Almost exactly. So that's probably worth the break. I'm going to watch out for my Microsoft because that's really, and my Lucid Longs, but this is a good trade. And then also Affirm. Look at this, man. This was one of my best trades of the day. There's no doubt about that for me. I just wish we were here and got out at the top, but again, weren't. There it is, 39 bucks. First out, 39.60 for 70 cents on that one. Then we got out when it broke the 50 period. But again, like this was a great trade all the way to the upside. That's out at 41. So 39 to 41, it's still a $2 win. And honestly, man, if this market cracks lower, you have a lot of support up here for Affirm. 41.40, 41.60. It's not support, it's resistance, but a lot of shares being sold up here. So I think you have some coverage if you want to go short Affirm into this area of 41, 41.60. So watch out for that. Unfortunately for me, I'm dealing with Lucid right now, which is nicely done. Unfortunately, we were waiting for the upside. I still think we get it. And then Microsoft, we're still battling these demons, man, of the market in 14,000. It just touched 14,020 and bounced. So maybe we are bouncing higher. One more reload, and then we'll test that 295. But either way, Softy's been a decent trade for us.
So a couple of things. One, I just want to show Rivian. I thought I saw someone asking about Rivian, and apologies for not getting to it right away. But Rivian, I know the 69 level has been a pretty big one for the stock. It never quite got there, but let's keep an eye on that. Like you have sort of an obvious rejection of that level. It's gotten through once and then just rejected it twice. And I think if we continue this trend to the upside, that's what's going to come into play in tomorrow's action. Very, very strong name up that 5% today. But like everything else, looking like they're pulling back. Just I think the relative strength is pretty clear. We're showing you AMD below VWAP and trending to the downside, but Rivian at least trying to make a run at the high. I don't like the long for today after that harsh rejection. I mean, you take a breakout, what are you shooting, like 1-to-1 to try to get a move into the high a day in a falling market? Not a huge fan of that, but I'll be looking at Rivian 69. That's the level that I'll like. Mullen continues to be the one that I'm holding on to. Oxy somehow hasn't stopped me out at that quarter. It just keeps on. It's gone to 25 like twice and doesn't want to take out 43.25, which is fine, I guess. But it feels like it's just delaying the inevitable, and it's going to break out that high. It's been so strong. But I got some more shares out. I said it would make no sense to not take some more shares out on MULN. This is. I don't care how it halted down. It's pushed down like 15% from highs. Actually, a little bit more than that, 20% at one point. But it's still in an upward trend. Like, this is pretty much unbroken. And we only have 40 minutes left in the day. It's not like I can hold on to the short forever. Eventually, I am going to have to cover this thing. So I'm going to be on the bid. I might not get VWAP here because that's how strong this name has been. Brendan?
Not much reaction to this, but just looking at Coinbase, guys, there's a few more comments coming across with regards to whether Ukraine or whether Russia would adopt cryptocurrencies in the meantime as financial currency. 5.6 here for coin. Bitcoin itself, not really moving on that, but a few more comments there, guys.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about Coinbase. As I see Bitcoin right now, still at 40,700. So I think that's doing pretty good, staying up to the high side. Because we are able to get out of some of our Microsoft down there at 70, we'll reload it $1 higher right now. Just this trade reloaded right now. So we'll do that. We still are waiting for, I'm surprised we missed this. Well, we're at 75. It got as high as 73 there. Oh, man, or else we would have had a big position, not big, but, well, big position, yeah, oh, no, darn it, as it goes back down to the downside. Oh, man, we would be short right here. We just missed it by 2 pennies, but that's my bad. Like, waiting at 75, why not wait at 71 instead of a key level? Remember, Prad, I think it was Prad and then Neil, I think, started the show off. We do have that MSCI rebalancing today. So there is some stock that's going to have to be rebalanced in and out of the MSCI holdings, whether or not be the small cap, the large cap, et cetera. So I don't have any information on that, but it is going to create some imbalances at 350. So is Microsoft being up-weighted, down-weighted? It doesn't really matter. It's just a matter of what it comes out as. And Neil and I will show you the imbalance locator. There's nothing on it right now, but this is what we're looking for, some names to come out with millions of shares on here at the close. If you can show Tim the imbalance locator quickly there. Or is that Lucas? Who is that on the board over? I can't even see.
That's the other thing. I can't see them anymore.
Yeah, the ladders. I think it's Tim. I don't know. There it is, Tim. There he is. Hey, what's up? Okay, well, that didn't last too long. Look at the market. So it looks like Microsoft, we will go green to red on Microsoft on our net today because there it is, man. It just took that out. So we averaged in at 70 and it just took out 295. So it looks like the long is right today, and especially off that 14,000. So I'm actually pretty happy that it's bouncing off 14,000 and that we called that level right. Unfortunately, we are throwing around a little bit of cash on Microsoft and losing on that stock. So, my last average in is not out, but it's a small percentage. So we'll take that out on the minute here as it goes to the upside. And I think the short is now done. You can see we took out that 50 period and now starting to go back up to the upside. So we're definitely reversing some trends here, which is a good sign. We got to find some stocks to get long. We're long Lucid, which we really, really like. So that should work.
Yeah, and just if you go back to Tesla, I think, well, we definitely have talked about it. That just broke back up towards the high. It never got to 880 and 885. Those are the levels that I was sort of saying that's where I would look for the turn on Tesla. But it has managed to hold 850 rather nicely. And remember, we were just checking in on Rivian, and that looked like it was consolidating for a break. I didn't like the risk reward in the break, but 69 is still a bit of a thing. If it gets anywhere close to that, it can be worth the fade for me. That DSS that you brought to our attention, it looks like 68. 70 on the daily chart or the 15-minute is what I was looking at as a potential high, but 68 is where it seems to have failed. So that one could be done. At least it seems like it might be done for the day there. And then, Square was the one this morning for me that was, somewhat frustrating. That's looking like it's trying to break back out as well, consolidating on VWAP. That's probably a little bit more clean. If if there's a late push, and we just broke 14.1, if there's a late push, square through a 127.5, does give you, like a scalpable $1.50 till you get to any resistance. I knew it was eventually going to happen, but Oxy eventually grinds through the high of the day, so we'll take the 25-cent hit on Oxy. I like the risk reward on that one, but obviously this is just so strong. It's not screaming to the upside, but hey, it doesn't matter. If you're long this thing, it's been grinding all day long. There was one crazy pullback right after we left the show, but that was just a blip on the way to the upside here for Occidental. I'll be looking at Square. I want that 127.50 if we can get there, but we need to sustain this move a little bit. I don't think the trend is really, well, I mean, it's an upward overall trend, but since the turn, it hasn't really broken this little bit of a pullback trend in the NASDAQ. You are still seeing relative weakness. You need to really extend past 14.1, maybe get halfway to 14.2, and then I think we're headed upside. That's why waiting for Square a little bit makes some sense.
All right, we're close to ringing the register here, honestly, on Lucid, because like we lost shorting Microsoft, and then Lucid's giving us the win on the upside. So it's kind of like take from Lucid what Microsoft took from us, kind of thing. So that's kind of what we're looking at. But look how strong Lucid's been. Like it's just like that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 or 8 straight minute candles straight to the upside. So maybe this one is the one worth holding on as Microsoft back to 295 as the futures just dancing. It's going to be tough to take a trade based on the futures right now, guys. And I actually I didn't forget, but it is a good point that we talk about the fact that these imbalances are coming through, because definitely going to be affecting some of these as we get ready into the close. What's up, Brendo?
There's a note on Ulta Beauty there, guys. Target going to add over 250 new locations. So Target store is going to have Ulta Beauty stations, I guess, within them. So 250 new ones coming by the end of the year. Big spike there for ULTA.
All right.
Ulta Beauty, that's
more locations. That's nice.
It's a $400 stock. That's an expensive name, but look, certainly it's been a good one. I talked about Tesla a little bit there. You talked about Teladoc. And when I said about Square, look, if we can make that break in the futures, and I think it will probably be around 14.15 or something like that. It's just this consolidation that I like. And the reason why I think Square has another run in it is you're breaking out. You're still in the midst of a break on the daily. I understand I came in this morning looking for that short, but once it broke back out, this was not a rollover type trade. This was a clean breakout into new territory. And it's got, unlike Rivian, and I'm not saying Rivian can't go to the high either, but unlike Rivian, there is a bigger amount of space to that high. Like 130 gets you a couple of bucks, but that's actually $2 off of the high. So if we're to get back to the top and start breaking back out, well, what's been a better late day runner last week than Square or Block? Nothing, I don't think. I mean, not too many things anyways. And there's so much room for it to go from that high of the day. A bit of a tighter consolidation and just a better entry point. I like the risk reward. And the reason the risk reward has to be there is because we only have a half an hour left. And at that, only about 20 minutes until the imbalances. So I want something that has a chance to move, but also move quickly. If it doesn't go in the next 5 or 10 minutes, then there's no trade to be had there. And I do think I'm holding Mullen until the close, very likely. I don't think that matters whatsoever. I can't see any reason why they'd be on in any index or have any chance of any rebalancing. Clearly, as a small cap, penny stock.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Look, I was in the same mentality right here. We're going to have a new position alert for me today, and it's going to be AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. As it's above the 50 period, it looks like. If I'm going to be, like Neil said, if I'm going to be aggressive into a name, we know AMD can run. I'm happy trading this one. I actually really like AMD, obviously, to the long side. We keep on liking that name. The bottom really is 120.50. We're not heavily invested into this right now. Again, because of the fact that if it can dip down in, we'd like to build this position. But hey, if the NASDAQ wants to go for a run, we've already been up here today. Let's zoom this back out. We've already been to 14.2. Maybe we try it again. It's resisted this 14,000. Can the NASDAQ turn green again today? Yes, it can. I mean, like I said, it's already been there. And when it was there, we had AMD up to 124, even more conservative, like a 123. We'll take it. We are long right now, 122.50. This Lucid was getting close to our 80 level. I wonder if we're getting a little bit, I don't know. I don't want to say like, I don't know, too greedy with it, because I feel like we've held this nicely to the back, but it just did fail at that 28.60. So maybe there's something there, and holding it all the way back you know what? That's only 28.12. Let's just put this out. If we break that back down below 28, we'll get out. We'll get out of Lucid. So if it breaks back down below 28, we'll give up a little bit there in hopes that that doesn't happen. So let's change our Lucid out. It was down here at 27.60. Let's up this to 28 if it breaks through these levels, because it's going to have to get through the 50 period to do that, and that's that. AMD just did go in the money for us. A whopping 20 cents. First out's going to be up here, man, 122.80. That's the target. So let's see if we can hit that on AMD.
Yeah, and I'm getting a little bit impatient with Square. The other thing that can happen here with this name is because this is looking like a pretty strong move, is if you get any check back to 125, just get into it that way. And I'm going to have to start thinking about another leg out on Mullen because, once again, the buyers come right back in at $1.65, which incidentally, that's the whole price. Like, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but it got to 185 the first time and then bounced off 165. You can see that's what stopped out the last short. And then it halted right down and it's finding the exact same level of support. So if we can't bounce from here, I'll likely take another leg out at 170. But if this falls, if 165 falls now with only 30 minutes left, then this should be it. And if it doesn't go, then I have to accept the fact this stock is just entirely too strong and it doesn't want to go anywhere for me. We talked Rivian there, trying to make the push. It's still grinding slowly higher to the high of the day. 68 could be a fade. I think it has to break that high. And the reason I wouldn't like a break at the top is because we mentioned on the 15-minute that 69 level. Foot Locker, by the way, you want something which is super strong. Like I took a shot at Foot Locker when it reclaimed 30 on the way upside. Like it made a break of 30 even and then attempted to come back in. So got me shorting right here at 30 on the way back down. It then reclaimed the high. Tried to break back out. I was like, you know what, this thing is strong. If I was going long, this would be an entry point to me, right? Like it's making that 30 break, capitulated, and then retook the level here in consolidation. I'd be looking for a long at that point, so I just got out of the short. I wish I'd actually just said, hey, if it looks like a long entry, you should get out of a short, obviously, but why not just get into the long, which I did not do. But this looks too top heavy for me. Like with the multiple downgrades that they got, up 8%. If there's something that maybe needs to be faded here, as I'm watching the market, like this is the gap on the daily chart for Foot Locker. I think there's a lot of things that are a little bit troubling with their model that could have them under pressure. They've been beaten up for it. But with the market trying to bounce back, Foot Locker is not even getting back through the highs, right? And we just had a nice pullback off 14,000, the ES pushing as well. Similar to Oxy, it's just the setup that I like on Foot Locker. So I'm going to jump into the short again. Looks like we've got about 20 minutes until 350, so getting in off of these highs, I'm going to have my stop at the high of the day anyways, but if I wasn't going to do that, certainly I'd be putting in a trailing stop or some kind of a stop in front of 350. Anything this volatile, up 8%, on a month-end MSCI rebalance type of day, you're going to want to make sure you have a stop at 350, anticipating you might have some outsized imbalances.
Yes, 100%. And, oh, man, yeah, I don't know, like, I just feel like trading this market right now, it's just like I'm long AMD. I'm just battling with it back and forth. Our Lucid trade is working, but maybe we need, I'm not convinced in a short or a long right now, really in any names. Let's check out AMC here as Ape Nation still continues to be pretty strong, obviously, as we've seen AMC today go up to 1950 before, again, like barcoding. Like, if AMC was down here, I'd say, like, let's go long down here near 1830 and change, right? But it's not. It's just relaxing up here above VWAP and not doing much. So, like, if some of these names were outsized or positioned differently, then maybe we could talk about this. But Lucid's coming back in a little bit. Let's check out, what is Shopify doing today? That's just a good name here in Canada. So I think it's a New York name.
Yeah, New York.
Yeah, there it is. So 680. Are we even up today on Shopify? Yes, we are. Okay, so Shopify today nicely up. Let's just check what it's, again, what this looks like. There's a lot of stock. Oh, we should go to Affirm. Let's go back over to Affirm right now. Okay, so again, was hoping that some of these names would be at some of these levels. The other name was TDoc that we wanted to take a look at. Again, that's not breaking. Let's check out DraftKings. I think Chanos is still shorting this. So if he is, I think he's not doing quite well because it's up another 5% here. DraftKings today at day's high. So this is a name that could be interesting, again, in a market rally. Probably takes out these highs of the day. DraftKings really, really working, man, the last couple days, like into those Okay, everything's good. Mark is there. So if anything goes wrong, we have Mark in the building. So that's fine. 20. I hate when you hear that noise because you know what it sounds like?
It sounds like the battery back.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
get ready for ultimate computer.
Well, you remember when we had that going off at our, so Sean and I own our own
Yeah, well,
trading
it's different
floor.
when we own the office because then it's out like.
I know, but it was
looking
going
at
off, and
ourselves.
we're like, what is that sound? We had no clue what it was. And
Yeah.
First of all, this is embarrassing. You own a trading floor, and the server
Well, I
is
mean,
hooked
we
up
had
to this
somewhat
thing.
of a clue what it was.
We had somewhat of a clue, but we didn't realize until it was at the last minute. It's like, oh, wait a minute, that's a battery backup, and boom, there goes the power. There was also another incident with the power. We'll talk about another day, but yeah, everything does seem like it is. It does seem like it's okay. Although I will say we just rolled back below 14.1. So all I got is Foot Locker and Mullen to the short side. And I was looking for a breakout potentially on Square. You're going to see that not happening. It's still holding VWAP, so there's always a chance. But we're running out of time for this to continue that move to the upside. I'd hate for this to be another day where we can't get back positive. But it has felt different, right? Like this does not feel the same as last week when we were getting those rallies. We pulled back off those highs and have really lost our footing. Outside of bouncing off 14,000, there hasn't been a ton of strength. And I'm looking at individual names, and I'm not really seeing it. Energy names are okay, but they're not screaming through the highs. Tesla, which has been an absolute beast today, you can see that the volume has been tapering off all afternoon. And even in that last little push, it couldn't get anywhere near the high of the day. And that's what you need to see. You need to see some of these tech names breaking back to the top, and you're just not having it here. So unfortunately, I'm going to hang on to the two shorts I have because it feels like that's what we're going to get till the end of the day. Maybe we bounce off 14,000 again, and then there'd be another trade there.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit tossed around, but I mean, we're not putting on big risk, and we're not going to go red on the day, obviously. But still, I mean, we like when stock and when the market is at least trending a little bit. It's doing absolutely nothing, man. Like it just took out the 50 period again here on the NASDAQ. And I mean, here it comes back down in. No real reason for any of these things to be happening right now, but it is. So what are we going to do? We averaged into AMD right here at 90. So again, it's at the 50 period. We're going to give this down to 121.50. If that breaks, then honestly, man, we'll take another 50-cent hit and like, that's that. And we don't show our share size on here, but I mean, I tell you this all the time, like, you know, the real trades for me are happening in the morning. Like, that's why we have the sticky note, you know, like our Lucid trade. Like, look at all the trades that we made here in the morning and how much we believed in them, right? Like, here I am going long Lucid and averaging it all the way to the bottom. Why? Because we had 26, 25.50 or so as a target where we was going to find support. So that came in. We took it all the way back up to the upside. Lots of trading there. We had our levels, right? And the same thing with Palantir. It came back into 1140. It had our levels. So it comes back in, and then we're able to hit it with more confidence and include taking out some nice winners, 40 cents, right? I mean, now it's like, unless something comes in, there's not much happening. Not only that, we've already seen the back and forth happen. So there's like no more surprise about any of these names. So I think you just got to trade it like if news comes out, like there's AMD down. So we just hit us out. A red name now, we add to our list. We had one red name before this coming into today. And then we just took AMD and Microsoft red. So, I mean, it is what it is, but there it is, a dump down. And look, it just breaks it, probably got wicked out. And look at the futures, just really doing nothing here. Maybe that was a wick bottom, who knows? But I think you just got to be patient. Let's not give too much money back here and then just hold out and see what happens with these imbalances that are only 15 minutes away. If there's something at a key level, man, holler at us. You kind of know what we're looking for, but not much happening for me right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking for 125 on Square. That could come into play here. And as long as we're above 14,000, you know, I'd like the support that it's been able to put in. It's up 5%, so if it's going to rally, you know, I want something that's been relatively strong. I love where it's at on the daily chart as well. It was just a discussion in the chat. And you know, anytime we're not in a million trades, I'm just in the 2 right now. And, you know, Sean's talking. I'm happy to engage with you guys. But we're talking about the strategic oil reserve and how I said this morning, I just don't really think that, you know, overall that's going to move the needle. It typically hasn't. They've been tapping it since November. You know, there's larger forces at play here. What matters is OPEC, and what matters is actual sanctions against energy coming out of Russia. I think those are the two things that are going to actually dictate prices. And I get it. It's always going to get done to try to relieve prices at the pump, but it doesn't mean that for the actual oil trades. Like if you're long energy, you know, I think you're looking for other things to get you out of your trade or to take profits. outside of that release. I wouldn't put too much credence in it. Like, I'm not looking to trim anything because of that myself. But Square getting close to that 125.50, which that's about the level that's worth it to start, and it's consolidating here as I speak. I can zoom in so this looks a little bit better for you. There you go. Pulling back in VWAP. There's your 25 level. I understand it's moved back and forth here, but it's put in higher lows. The last time holding nicely above it. So yeah, I might just get in right here and see if we can't get into Square. If it comes back at this point, it can come back to VWAP and look pretty solid, but I'm still working against the clock here, right? Like, we have about 10 minutes until imbalances come in, so you better believe, buying that little dip here, I do want to take some out in 126, 126.5 on the way up to VWAP. Rendo?
Nile, N-I-L-E, which is a crypto stock, Bitcoin miner, just popping up here, guys, 5%. Apparently, this company has an ownership in that MULN, which is interesting, I guess, but a whole bunch of volume just came into N-I-L-E.
What?
All right, Niall. Okay, we'll look at that one. But yeah, people are always messaging me saying, trade run, trade run. Okay, so right here, JP Morgan. We'll finally switch it up. We'll go short on the banks. We did have on our sticky note go long WFC, but we talked about JP Morgan and Citigroup being the two, and I guess Morgan Stanley and JPM are tied today, but JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and Citigroup all being the laggards today to the downside. So let's try this, man. Hopefully these futures now want to start to go to the downside. We'll trade one of the weak names as it's respected this 50 period all the way down. We'll take a 141 breakdown in now on JP Morgan. And then just to look, we were already down here. That's 130. What is that? 140 flat, I guess we bounced off of. Let's see if that happens. There is okay, 75. There's a little bit of an area right there at 75. Sometimes we say when in doubt, zoom out. Not sometimes, we always say that. But we're going to get a piece out there at 140.75. And again, that has nothing to do with technicals, more just the fact that we are on where is my daily chart? There it is. We are on a technical day here as it's options. We talked about that already with MSCI. Yeah. So maybe there is some pegs here to 140, maybe 141 as well. But here we go, JP Morgan trying to take out some of these bottoms. That very bottom of all of these candles is 140. So, we'll hold out. We'll see if we can get to that. Maybe not today, I don't think, on JP Morgan with only 20 minutes left. But this is not a horrible name to swing on the short side. And again, just because, hey, if you're not liking the environment right now, especially on the Russian-Ukrainian side of things, who knows what's going to come through more possible sanctions or penalties in the banking sector. So we'll go short on JP Morgan and see if there's some overflow on that.
We'll be able to do this, and shout out to whoever just sold 220,000 shares of Block. It was holding this consolidation at 126, and you can sort of see, like, it bought in front of 125.50, and then it was trying to break through 126. And then the second sometimes a big size has the opposite effect. They threw the offer, and the second it filled, it punched through 26, and then I just got that fill. I'll look for VWAP for the rest, but every now and then it's like you throw a big order out there and it got hunted. So whoever that was, maybe they're getting out of it's been a trending stock, right? That's fine. But the way this market is coming back down, I'm not sure it's going to do better than VWAP. So I might just be happy if this can even get up there and give a buck. So we'll see if we can't get this one out at VWAP. Not nearly as strong as I would have liked. And Foot Locker, for all the movement down in the market, that's not doing a heck of a lot off the highs. However, look, it hasn't broken the top. It's still consolidating here. If this market were to make another leg down, I can't see any way this is going to hold the highs. Up 8%. How is there not profit taking on this one already? And for those of you that are saying you didn't hear the bell on Mullen, it's not over. Oh, it's not over. I got a bunch out, but the stock is still grinding higher, Miss V.
Hey guys, I remind you that less than 20 minutes left until the end of this trading day. And please guys, bring your likes and logs to the upside. We have 3,300 people watching and only 500 likes. We can do better, so please smash the like button, and I hope you're having a good day. Back to you guys.
Thank you there, Ms. V. What you guys can't see is these guys like snaking like cables like crazy over on the side. The entire team working because, hey, the other desk has to get done. We're in that new spot. Yes. Hopefully you guys can't even tell the difference. I know the background's obviously different, but yeah, a lot of work went into it. And shout out to all the entire crew for making it happen. Eventually, you're going to have two seats, the one we're in and us, and Trader Pratt will be right up next to us, which should be a heck of a lot of fun. By the way, I should have said this, it might be obvious at this point, I do not intend on getting, re-upping or reloading, whatever you want to call it. I'm not doing it on Mullen at this point. Like, I think when something shows you this kind of strength, you got to be taking your profit, but getting in more in front of the high of the day feels a little bit reckless here. If it takes out 190, I'm still out at 90. I feel if it breaks that, forget about 95. It's going to $2. So, I've managed to go green on Mullen by picking my spots in the afternoon after being a little bit too aggressive in the morning. No need to double down on that here.
Yeah, we got some out. Look, I mean, I'm trying to think about this market in like a more sane way, but all we're doing is bouncing around here and not doing anything. Neil and I, for joining us for the first time. What's up, Randy? Neil and I have to be flat at the end of every day, right? So, not bad, eh? Not bad, not bad. Oh, you guys got... Oh,
nice. Yeah, buddy.
The Chrome Bros right there. Yeah, so JP Morgan, again, we just took 10 cents. I know it's nothing, and that was only on a quarter of the trade. I am looking to reload this thing and get more shares if it does pop up on any sort of a market rally here. If this market dies at 350, which is 6.5 minutes away, I mean, JP Morgan should come to the downside. Like, I don't know who's going to put in a bid imbalance, so who's going to want to buy JP Morgan into the close, but it still could happen, and if it does, then there it is again. We'll get thrown around more on some of these random names here on us today. We talked about going long DraftKings. If it did break the high of the day, it's right in right now. So maybe this is a better trade right here, going long DraftKings into the high of the day right now. I mean, what? Are the futures going to go up now? We're out of our AMD. Like, our AMD long would be cash. And this is the point. Like, I'm not using big shares now. Like, this would be now in the money. But just whipping around, not much happening. I mean, this is a 50-cent range on AMD. I'm not going to be able to cash in on that. We are waiting for a reload on JP Morgan at 25. We'll give it to 30. But I'm thinking to the downside. Next bid, 140.75 coming on JP Morgan. Maybe we can get... Well, we'll wait. It's only a little bit of time. I was going to say maybe we can look to see who's reporting again, but we know Lucid's reporting, and I still have a high side target here of near $29. So I actually canceled my offer at $28.80. I feel like if they want to buy this, the buying might happen end of day. So we'll see here if Lucid takes this bid imbalance. Look, it's been straight up to the upside. It's really absorbed VWAP here, and so yeah, that's now about $1 away. Let's see if we can get up to 29 and take out the day's high. We're in the money $250 on Lucid. In the money $250 on Lucid. So yeah, look at the market ripping to the upside right now.
Like, come on, Square.
Yeah, this is ripping, and then I'm just noticing JP Morgan not doing anything. So I think we got the right name here. If the market comes down, then yeah, we should see JP Morgan pull back pretty heavily here.
Yeah, we just, like Sean said, we just reclaimed on the NASDAQ 14.1. Meanwhile,
now
Square,
everything's ripping.
Of course, it goes like this. Is my offer is right in front of VWAP, and it got 2 cents away from my offer. You can see it here. Now, there's no point with the market moving up, having an order there. Look, if it's going to check up here, then I'll probably get it somewhere out in these 126 quarter or so, because that's not what you like to see. The market just made a huge move up, and we're sort of retesting down and can't break VWAP. So what I thought was relatively strong might not be. I'm just seeing a lot of people talking about that Nile, which I think Brennan already brought to our attention. That was DTTW. So I remember that name, and thank you. I forget who said it in the chat, but I'm like, yeah, I remember them. But obviously with a sympathy move up, and let's look at the daily quickly here because I didn't go over it, but back above that buck, it went to 111 previously just a couple of weeks ago and rejected that high. The lower high is essentially right here, this 105 level. And I'm sitting there looking at the MULN, trying to take out that high. It's already put in a couple of good pullbacks that you've been able to capture. Well, that hasn't happened in Nile. Like, it's essentially consolidating at the top. I'll tell you the tricky thing about that trade is when these things break $1, I don't know that you're getting more than $1. So if you short this for 105, you better be happy with like 3 or 4 cents going into the close. That's why I'm not putting the trade on. We have like 3 minutes till the imbalances come in here. I just got my square out, so I'll be happy to take that profit, but I would not be putting this. I'd put this trade on if it was 320, but at 347, that doesn't make any sense for me.
Oh, wow. I mean, ooh, we just went like roller coaster, boy, on JP Morgan. Look where we're short now, 49s. Like we just got, that was crazy. I mean, Neil was talking, obviously we weren't going to, now it's going to take out the high probably, but we got taken out here at 50, and now it's going to go up, but wow, I don't know what the hell's going on. JP Morgan, like we just got out at we just got some out at 141 flat.
What was that?
I don't know, we're still in half of this. I actually got to fix my stuff now because like, I don't know where we're going to go from here. 141, like 70 maybe. I'm just getting my orders out because I'm out of half now of this short. So like no idea what just happened there. It took us out and I was like, what? And I just punched the short again back in. So we actually right now, look, we're not up on JP Morgan. If it comes back down to 141, we will be. But we just got a bid out there at 141.03. Like this just started to go nuts there. Like the biggest candle ever happened 141, almost straight up 70 cents, which got us taken out. And then we're sitting here on our keys. We saw the short come back in. So yep, we shorted it again. JP Morgan looking for a 141 break. Damn, don't get me out of this. This is too violent. The reason why I'm saying don't get me out, I want to stay in for the imbalance. But if it goes up to 141.75, we're out. But I want to stay in for the imbalance. This is going to be a real spicy one. I feel it's moving like crazy. Meanwhile, $2, and here it is right now. Lucid, still long from the bottom, and it's near the high of the day. We like this one. I like this one a lot. I'm going to see if I can hold this as long as we can, but we got to go over to Brendo quick time.
I was waiting to see if there's going to be a reaction to some of these energy headlines that are coming through. It looks like a little bit of volume coming in now, guys. So Oxy, CVX, all trying to get back to day highs. You can see some buying coming in at the bottom there. Apparently, the White House saying that energy-related sanctions are still on the table. Also, our government here in Canada saying they will no longer import crude oil from Russia. So oil markets starting to head back higher.
I mean, okay, we're not doing it, but look, if the U.S. said they weren't doing, obviously that's the bigger story because that's a bigger deal. But look, saying that's on the table, that's the first time I've heard that. And I think a lot of people have been taking it seriously that it could be because of the reliance on energy, especially for Europe, right? So if that happens, wowzers. That spike that you talked about there, I mean, it was square too because it couldn't get through VWAP, and then all of a sudden I'm getting hit at VWAP, and then it was pushing like another 80 cents higher. So it looks like the strength did eventually come into it. And someone said in the chat, and I think it was Mike S. So if I got your name wrong, I apologize, but I think I saw Mike S. saying Mullen has to go down tomorrow, has to be a fade tomorrow, right? Nope. Look, I usually when things go certain 100%, 150%, I look for short trades because I don't like chasing those. But tell you, it does not have to go down at all. Nothing has to happen. If you see a setup, you make the trade, but nothing has to happen in this market.
Never say that. That's the worst thing you could possibly say. This has to happen. I know, I mean, tongue in cheek maybe.
I know what you mean, but.
Yeah, don't, that is not something that we support here on the show. This has to happen. Oh, there goes JP Morgan, by the way, straight to the upside here as, here's what we're talking about. LU, DD, there's a lot on here, man. Intel's on here as a sell. The market looks like it just wants to take off to the upside, obviously, as it's still going. So here we go. Upside rate now on JP Morgan continues its move. I don't know what else is on here. Like I said, DD, that's not Grubhub. Grab is there. A bunch of no names on here other than Intel right there. So you might want to have a look at that.
Yeah, and with 350 hitting, Foot Locker took out that high. I had my stop through the high of the day on Foot Locker the whole time. And with us running out of time, I just said it doesn't have to go down. Mullen, I took more shares out at 75, and it's still going to be a good gain, but it has not capitulated. This trend is super strong, and sort of finish the thought because we had to go to the imbalances. Like this is a stock that, realistically, let's go to the daily. There's so much room for it to go. Where is the level that you can find where you actually have like the last pump up that people might have been buying on a breakout? That's up at like 350. And there might be a lot of people that are like, well, you know what? Who cares? At this point, I held it all the way down to 50 or 60 cents. I'm not selling till it gets to $3 or $4. And this is day one, essentially, of a break. And anytime it's day one, sure, these things can absolutely only have one day of a move. Entirely possible. But we've seen time and time again where it's 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row before it has a bit of a pullback. I think it runs into some kind of resistance or chop at $2, but that kind of happened here at 195. So this is one that I will not be married to the short tomorrow. Even if it's below 2, that It's likely the first thing I'm looking for, but a 2 break doesn't look all that bad for tomorrow's action. And if you're this deep in the money, a lot of people are probably considering swinging it anyways. There's not a lot of reasons why. If you were long this name, I don't see why you've been scared and necessarily selling it off. Like, what has it done that scared you today on the long? It held the pre-market lows. Anytime it does the fail on the pop and fade, the key thing for me is, does it hold the pre-market low? So it gave you that pop and fade trade for 10%, and then it didn't break the low. Usually that means a late breakout. And come to think of it, now that I'm looking at this, when I see this, I should never have been shorted at $1.25. It doesn't even make any sense. At that point, I'm usually looking for a long once it breaks the 120 because it could not take out that low after putting in a 930 capitulation. If the first thing they do is sell at 930 and the next thing that happens is morning support holds, usually that's a bit of a bullish sign.
Yeah, for sure. And you're going to notice right here, first of all, I might as well close. Ooh, CCL, I guess. We didn't notice that one. That was a big buy. Let's see.
You're right.
Oh, hold on a second. Let's just close this and see. On a 1-minute chart here, CCL nicely done to the upside at 350, but still not really getting going. Remember, these are imbalanced trades, so you're going to have... They're going to get paired off more than likely. Ford with a nice bid. Did that do anything on the upside? You can see it rallied the market. And then as you're going to look right now, just to show you guys, look at JP Morgan right now. So that we got taken out. It's right back down. We got taken out on the upside, and then it just floated right back in. So that's why it was really a dead trade to begin with, because if the imbalances were to the downside, then it's like win, 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 and we crush it to the downside. Instead, we got to sit here and hold this thing as it tries to break back above. So unfortunately, it's coming right back. I mean, this is where we were short, remember, in cashing out. So we have to, oops. I just had my 141.20 bid out there. Like, so that just to show you that this is came right back in, but we didn't get it. So yeah, cancel all your stop orders except for on Lucid right now, where Lucid does make that move up to that 28.80, which is where my stop was. So you know what? Let's just get out of Lucid right now. Right here, 28.56. Might as well take this out. It's a good trade for us, but could have always been better because we did paying that 28.80 level. Let's take it right now, 28.58 for $2.40 on Lucid. What's up, Brendo?
All right, a few minutes ago, let's get you caught up, guys, on what is to come. Aftermarket tonight, before the open tomorrow morning. Still lots of earnings to get through.
There's a ton of them, but like all the big ones have come through. We talked about Zoom, at least I think we talked about Zoom. Zoom, Lucid, Lucid's a big one everyone cares about. Target and Kohl, certainly for the retailers, which have been beaten up. Target's a big one because I'm looking for some signs of strength in some of those names. I like what Lowe's has done. They had a good quarter, and they're at some interesting levels. Novavax, just because there's always volatility in those names when they report. But you know, outside of going back to the well, your energy's been so strong today. Even some of these low floaters, like I promise you, Mullen's done 600 million shares. I'll be trading it tomorrow. Like, there's just no way that's not going to be the case. And I think the same thing goes for Lucid and some of the EVs that we've been looking at. You want to stick to what has been working, and there's nothing overwhelming on that list, with the exception of Lucid.
No, there really isn't. And then we also do have here, guys. Oh, you were talking about Lucid. I was going to talk about the Canadian banks. So I saw Scotiabank. I own that. So I saw Scotiabank on there. BMO I saw on there. Not sure what else. I think it was just the two. You could see pretty strong today, up 0.3. I don't know where my daily charts have gone. They've gone missing. Oh, no, they're right here. This is the one-day chart. Okay, I don't know what that's all about. Did we get to 60? Oh, yeah, I think the Canadian banks, it doesn't make any sense. But okay, anyways, Bank of Nova Scotia is still near its highs. So unlike some of the U.S. banks, some of these Canadian banks seem to still be performing okay into this environment. So with only 355 to go, Bank of Nova Scotia looks to be a decent one as well. And like, look what I was saying. Now AMD 123, which was like basically our target for these longs, and now you do it in the in the close. So there we go. AMD, a nice little move to the upside. It looks like it still wants to go a little bit here. With only 4 minutes to go, though, we really have nothing to do. We are flat at the end of every single day, and we're flat right now. Yep. So to me, this is worth it. It was a good show. Unfortunately, got tossed around a little bit there at the close, but I'm still pretty happy with everything.
Yeah, gotta be. And CCL was a big imbalance. It's actually down to 1 million shares. And it was like 3 million when you said originally. Now it's down to 1 million shares. So pairing off quite a bit. DD's still about 2 million to buy. Last I checked. It's not really doing a heck of a lot. It is near the high of the day, but there's really nothing happening in DD despite that imbalance. And it's a $4 stock. So keep in mind that's a small fraction of what the day's volume is. I mean, I don't know what else is really big on these imbalances. Uber was the other one at 1.2 million shares. That's having a strong day and actually going to close up about 3%, outpacing the market. But sometimes it's about where you're coming from. More so than what you've done here today. It's put in a capitulation bottom, oddly enough, at $30, but this stock has some work to do. The hard rejections off the 200 period are kind of easy to notice, and I can tell you what you need to happen for Uber to really break out, get to that 200 period, otherwise I'm not going to get excited about this holding.
No, with only a couple seconds left, look where Lucid goes, right up to our target again. We got out at 60, but it does hit 80s, so far so good on that one. Yeah, look, we're in our new digs right now. We're pretty impressed with them. Glad the technology's working. A big shout out, obviously, Lucas, Tim, Mark, Rob. I mean, without these guys, they make it seamless for us. So,
yeah, man.
You know, pretty easy to go here, and it worked out great. The lights look good. We didn't get, 45 minutes of transfer there, so
they're like a pit crew, man.
They're pretty happy with that, yeah. So that was good, yeah. So we, you know, knock on wood, but you know, no problems on the first day right now. So we're pretty happy with all that. But yeah, I don't know.
Oh, come on.
Hit the like button, whatever. What are you looking at now?
No, I saw someone's like Mullen dropping hard. Look, I just. Oh, now you're not going to load. So 2 minutes to go, and this just dropped to 155 there. So, look, obviously I should have held it, but remember, we have to be flat at the end of the day. This is not going to load for me. This is now a bit of a punk job. I can do this. I'll just forget it. I'm just going to show you the black chart because I have it up. But it's dropping into view up. That's what I was waiting for there, guys. So you have to get flat by 4 o'clock, which usually means once 150 hits, you don't get a rollover and it looks strong. I'm just going to take the trade off. And apologies, I don't actually have executions up on the charts that I show for myself, so I wanted to show you guys that if you weren't looking at Mullen. Now it's loading, but it did just drop off like a rock 2 minutes after I took my final fill. Not all the way to 150, and by the way, that's still a strong upward trend. Like, it hasn't really broken the trend, but the move I was looking for finally truly came through. It did have the one downward halt, but is still managing to hold past that morning break. And like I said to you guys, when I look back at it and looked at the 930 fail, it was also a failed break through $1. Not only did it hold pre-market lows, but that's a failed break at $1. That's another thing I don't like shorting at those levels. I should have been flipping to a long based on those three things. And either way, all you can do is try to be a little bit better here when you're trading some of these names. And having a piece of that long would have been much better than only shorting the tops. I can tell you that much. I think it's going to be Miss V on the bell.
I hope so.
I mean, I'm making the assumption.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see anybody over there right this second.
She's in front of me right now, so I don't know if it's going to be Miss V because she's still at the desk. So maybe it's going to be Tony. I can't.
It is.
There it is. There he is.
It's the people's bell ringer. Tony is in the
Usually
building.
You can see
right now. He's getting ready to rock and roll. He's full of confidence, this kid, Tony the Tiger. He's ready to rock. So we're going to get ready.
Short sleeves also.
Short sleeves. He don't care about the weather. You think Tony cares about what temperature it is outside?
He doesn't get cold. He's too hot.
Look, when you're as bright as Tony and the star shines on you, you don't give a crap about what the weather is outside. With only 7 seconds left, let's go, Tony. Kill him, Tony, with only 4, 3, 2, what happened? And 1, there it is. Oh my gosh. All right, there it is. Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, buddy.
Tony on the 1s and 2s there. Thank you so much for that bell ring. The camera was like, I don't know.
I saw Lucas literally run to the camera to adjust it at the last second. It's a different camera look there.
If the people want Tony, the people get Tony. But for right now, we want an update on the close. It looks like we got green there, Brendan. How did the S&P turn out?
Man. Not as good. For the record, Lucas was actually holding the camera because it was set on automated to loop around. Here we go. Yeah, the S&P and the Dow still red. The NASDAQ did get there, finally. Back to positive territory, 0.4, 0.2, 0.8, we'll call it, for the Dow leading. To the downside, Brazil, yeah, nothing to see there. 4, 7, and 4. So we're off the highs for crude oil, but pretty good comeback there, guys, for oil markets.
Yeah, the thing that's killing me is the Bitcoin up 7%, and there was that trade. There was a great setup on Coinbase. It's like all you had to do was have looked at the chart this morning and see where we were in spot prices, and there was just a clean breakout. So we'll definitely be looking at some crypto. Lucid, of course, the big earnings.
Oh, yeah, Lucid. Yeah, I wonder if those earnings are out soon. We'll see. But, yeah, here's that break on crypto of 40,000. I called it last week. I called it this morning. As soon as 40,000 hits, the next stop is 44. Let's see if we're going to be right. I mean, maybe give me 43.8 if we go up to 43.8. Take some scalp out, but sometimes I feel like scalping crypto is just so easy, and maybe it is. We got to take our talents to South Beach like LeBron James when he left Cleveland there. I take my talents to South Beach. with Chris Bosch and Dwayne Wade. Thank you so much. A great show. There's a lot of stuff being dropped and stuff now, but trust me, everything is fine. Thank you to Rob. Thank you to, well, we already said Rob, Mark, everybody, but thank you on the ones and twos to Lucas and to Tim today. I know they've had to deal with a lot, including the lighting, getting this all right. Thank you to Ms. V, to Brendan, obviously, to Neil. There it is. What's up, Ms. V? And obviously to Trader Prad, who's in there. Yeah, there he is. He's ready to rock and roll. Thank you, Trader Prad. I'm going to go out right now. My hair won't look anything like Neil's, but it should look more like Brendan's, but not really. Again,
look at that glare.
It kind of just goes like, yeah, less hair to less hair to more hair. So Brendan's like the scale up there. So it should be a good one. We're excited. Tons of earnings tomorrow as the black screen of death just happened there, which is fine. So with that being said, the Trade of the Day is Teledoc. So have a look at that, and we will see everybody tomorrow. See you guys. Ciao.
Bye, guys.